Welcome, welcome, welcome to a special rock and roll edition on the steel toe boots, marching, auctioning everything that I'm wearing. And you know, I gotta say, my electricity bill's paid, rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, and got food and got the big backpack, gotta protect it because it's rain, but now it's kind of ending on that rain, you know, so I gotta be on that go with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. And gotta thank the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food. FOOD! Truckers on the road now, the public workers right there. Please, Wall Street, business, give them a little bit of that loving. A little bit of that rock and roll for the public workers. They deserve a little bit of applause for the public workers of North American Collective with the brains and muscle. And it looks like it's a new machine, and we gotta please Wall Street business finance those public workers a massage therapy session. Maybe their cards are maxed out also, financially stressed and struggling, and we gotta give them a little bit of love, you know, some service. That's why the Dragon Army for SSD, security service defense best. Somebody finance the garbage collectors, a good spa, a good massage. Let's go Wall Street, billionaires. I'm about to go a little bit of circumventions on my old neighborhood. Starts right there. Nothing that I will to go back. Today is the May 6th, Tuesday. How about that meeting? Dragon versus Trump 24/7 since 2018. And that's all we got to get doing. I got the big backpack. I got a little bit of shaving cream and a little bit of razor blades. Got to get rid of the old ones. On special, but the price went up. So I got to do that, orienting my budget, financially stressed, struggling. But rent's paid, electricity bill's paid. That's how we got to get doing. Please keep it clean here. Keep a little bit of that clean side right here. We got to get on the go, and we got to transpose and turn my head left and right before I cross the street. Give some chatty Wall Street and butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know. As I enter my own neighborhood, nothing that I will to go back to, just rocking it in and out, I guess. You gotta see enough of my face. Gonna be smiling all the way to Mount Royal, all the way financially stressed. So here's where my old OLD neighborhood kind of commences. And I just remember moving, might be 2015, 2016, gotta double check, when I moved from a moldy place, underground, deep mold, was sick, diseased in 2017, cross Canada, coast to coast. That event made me solidify, establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians and the 50 states, because I'm a mystic parallel to being an artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist. Live with Asperger's, and again a correction, because I just had a discussion with a fellow citizen, linguist, and I asked if he knows what Asperger's is, and he said, yeah, and we spoke French here in Quebec, La Belle Province. Said, yeah, it's a sickness, so please, Asperger's, yes, we are less able, yes, we are deficient in some things, yes, we're not that capable in other things, yes, we can have our difficulties, yes, we can have our inadequacies, yes, we can be mediocre, yes, we can be average, yes, we can be so-so, useless at some things. But now when it comes to our special interests, we're a tiny part of the population, is less than 1%, less than half of a percent. 0.44% of the human population have it, so it's not common, it's very rare, and it's not in the negative. It's not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. It makes us that our brains, there's a mutation. And 7 years ago, there was even a documentary on BBC, not to be confused with a porn acronym, because I stopped watching pornography more than 45, more than 3.5 years. Last time I watched porn was more than 3.5 years ago, so I don't watch porn, but I don't morally object to pornography, what have you. It's not something that I watch anymore myself, but whatever the case may be. So, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna cross the street here prudently and salute the truckers, our supply chain, those picking up the garbage. See right there, the big truck. Finance them some good massage therapy session, Wall Street, and got to get it for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the public workers, and Got to give them a massage therapy session. We got to get that SSD because I've been craving a massage therapy session since February before I had COVID 2019. But you know, they deserve it more than me. Those who pick up the garbage, the nurses, public doctors, here for the North American Collective. Special Dragon versus Trump event, special Carney meeting Trump. Should have been on the table, should have been a 6th of May. The king is absent. Asperger's is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes Aspies predisposed to special focus interest, to certain clumsiness, certain we repeat things 2-3 times. We might have the characteristic known as echolalia. Echolalia, we might repeat something that somebody else says and things of that nature, So just Asperger's is a mutation in the brain, and I was saying a priori that in the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, there was an emission, and there was of course a documentary about 6 or 7 years ago how actually Asperger's, supposedly in the HFA, high functioning autism, because of this mutation, the mutation in the brain, maybe it's a focal point towards a human evolutionary process. So a human evolutionary process. Someone across maybe. A human evolutionary process. Now I don't know about that, if it's an evolutionary process or not, but I lived my own trauma, scars because of it, suffered, struggled, and it's not a mental illness that can be medicated. There's a certain level of support needed. Yes, a certain level of support, certain level of understanding. But we Aspies are super focused, super concentrated, super dedicated, especially when it comes and when we do our special interest. And of course mine is now working out, training, exercising, and meditating on the geopolitical events and geopolitics 24/7, sports fitness 24/7. And of course, dancing is my favorite sport. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street, because you never know. Brakes malfunction, the citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brakes. So those are all things which can occur on a daily basis now. And here in my own neighborhood, nothing that I will to go back to. Say I died when I left. I died in 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and I came out of being depressed by that event and established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And of course, also in 2020 February, died of COVID. So I'm marking more than 5 years since I survived COVID. More than 5 years since I survived COVID. More than 5 years since I survived COVID. Still celebrating that victory. 2020 February, March, between February and March, it was like death, pestilence, and disease, COVID. I thought I was gonna die, and you know, I don't know what COVID is. I have my trinity of beliefs around COVID. Now I'm going under the rainbow umbrella. Seems like the rain's starting again, but I guess I'm protected by the umbrella, so there's gonna be some good. And we got some beautiful red tulips there, which I always love. And you know, you see yesterday on my video that there's plenty, so many lots of people in my second home, Mount Royal Belvedere. But we're gonna see how many make it today on the rain, because you know, I go there, sometimes I'm alone. I go at the top of the Belvedere Chalet, and it's winter, snow. You see my videos from the past years. It's snowing, it's like a winter storm, and I am there alone. Sometimes somebody comes and it's me and that other person, or 2 out of 3 people, or sometimes just myself and Mother Nature atop Mount Royal. But yesterday was lots of people. It's during spring, summer, and autumn. There's lots of people there. Then mid-autumn, late autumn, it diminishes, and winter there's less and less. But I go there, of course, 24/7, and not almost every day. Sometimes I go every day, but sometimes I go by the river. So that's something which I gotta be mindful of here, that I gotta express my gratitude. You know, gratitude is great for mental health, and you know, grateful, thankful my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee. And now on the backpack, it's a bit on the heavy side, because first time that I seen it was 3 for $10 on the Kwas. It's a special drink which is healthier than, it's an alternative to clubs, to other sodas. and usually it's $5.49. So I say usually that if I buy 3, that's like 16. That's like with taxes, that's like close to, it's like 18 bucks. 18 bucks with taxes. So I bought the last 3 because you gotta get, otherwise you don't get the special. So I budgeted, I said $10. I'm gonna have them for the Sabbaths. 3 Sabbaths I guess in a row. This one, this coming Sabbath, the other one, and the next one. So it's gonna be 3 Sabbaths in a row, or maybe if I drink 3 on the whole Sabbath, whatever, depending how thirsty I am and how hot it is, I guess. Maybe 3 gonna be finished in the next 11 days, you know. Finish the 3 quash is, and it's 2.5 pounds. So besides what I already have in the backpack, I guess that's more than 44 pounds with the backpack on the back. So that adds a little bit of extra weight to it, and that's what we gotta get doing here. Encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. Special event. Carney going to the US. Meeting with Trump. Calling the leaders of the world, especially the North American collective leaders on the mountain. Mount Royal, support my dream. Brother Scorpio, Bill Gates, all willingly loving, pledge your allegiance to our family. Gonna go to the mountain, Mount Royal, and gonna get to that XYZ, and gonna get to the thing. So that's what it is with that, and we're gonna get for the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. This is my dream, you know, fundamentally my dream for a North American civilizational collective, because we constitute a collective civilizational complex, and you know, because of due to Asperger's, my special interest is geopolitics, and again I take great pride in my geopolitical work, and as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, again, who has predicted what's happening now, the international conflagration. I predicted it back in 2019. You heard that correct? So in 2019, beautiful magnolia trees. Ah, smells so good. That's a beauty. You got the other one there. So beautiful, magnolia trees, and all these are blooming now. Yay! I love those ones. This smells so good. So sent to the city here, Montreal, N.A.C.W.P, where we 2.5 million people island. We live on an island metropolis, huge mega city. With the metropolitan area is 4.5 million, and second most populated city in Canada. First in Quebec, and top 7-8 in the North American complex. In North America, even when we include Mexico. So that's something which we got to be substantial about, as I'm going to salute the firefighters, the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, construction workers, plumbers, and electricians, and construction workers. That's what I will to build, you know, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to be 11 times bigger than where the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, was built, you know, where the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, was built, and of course where my 49ers lost. And that's what it is with that, and that's what it is, you know. That's what it is, man. Here, life, you know, I'm gonna go by that side. That's what it is with that. And I gotta circumvent it on that, and that's what it is, you know. So we gotta get doing and establishing the North American civilizational complex here, when we can pass on the other side, and there's no exit there. Gonna go on the other side here, and here, you know, we see a lot of work being done, and imagine all the plumbers, all the electricians, Hydro-Quebec workers who do all that labor, all the labor which is done now, you know. It's a mega labor, megaplex, and that's what we gotta get doing, and we gotta get on that empire, pledge your legions, dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. We gotta get rid of the border and transfuse and create, of course, the complementary covenant cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, and the DGA with it, and we gotta get it on that SF. And I was just speaking, my fellow citizen having the San Francisco 49ers hat, and I was just discussing how we need to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's how we gotta get building with that on the Canadian-US border for sportus and perpetuities. where sports is gonna be perpetuity 24/7. And there's that bus driver, salutations to the bus drivers, the cooks, the plumbers, electricians, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. We gotta thank them. And as I sing for the boys and girls in blue, seeing those lights there across the North American collective that rock and roll, I also sing for those who did their criminal rehabilitation, their my brothers and sisters who do their criminal rehabilitation, gotta go for that, and that's what they're gonna go do it, so as I sing for them, boys and girls in blue, I also gotta sing that rock and roll for my brothers and sisters who done their second chances, and took their second chances, and of course came out of whatever situations they were with criminal convictions and turned their life around. I gotta sing rock and roll and applaud that, because that's the purpose, justice. How do we bring justice? I wouldn't like to be a judge, to take anybody's freedom, because I got freedom tatted up, but freedom has to be insured, It's a double-edged sword. And see, you got here a little problem because you got the lights, so you got to be patient, and you got to cross the streets while looking left and right here. So that's why I say you got to be prudent, because you never know, and you might cross the street and get in difficulty and get in an accident, and car flips over, and then you get yourself in trouble. So always got to be prudent, security, safety, because now I got to add my own responsibilities, duties, and obligations, when I'm in the public, and that's how we got to get doing here as we are, for the North American civilizational complex, and that's how we got to get doing, So now back to geopolitics. The main event of our primary concern, of course, as Quebec or Canadian North American, is of course Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, going of course in the Collective, going in the United States. Gotta make sure I cross prudently, Going in the United States, and I'm guessing that he's gonna try to get a little bit of that negotiation with it, so that's how we gotta get doing. So basically, if he's gonna try to negotiate, so it's something which we gotta be doing, It's something which is light, and something which is XYZ, and something which we gotta be on the side of things, as we are here saluting the delivery personnel, the workers, the butchers, the bakers, the truckers, firefighters, the plumbers, electricians, the welders. Sing that rock and roll for the workers. Wall Street, give some charity. Don't be so selfish. I'm not totally selfish or selfless. Totally altruistic, I don't make pretense to be, altruistic fully, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. So, not to make a pretense on the XYZ, and to get on that rock and roll, because that's what I know. Rock and roll, geopolitics, and sports and fitness. So knowing sports and fitness and rock and roll, and that's what it is. I'm like, that's something which I gotta be circumvent and gotta be explanatory. And here I will to build the 444, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum on the Canadian-US border for sportus in perpetuitis, for 24/7 sports, where the first inauguration event is gonna be Dragon versus Trump. I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since 2018, when Donald Trump first imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go, so something which we gotta get doing. So back to that, the Forgotten Goddess Temple also, that's my will to build, so something which we gotta be doing, and something which we gotta be on the transmission line, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the Dragon Army for SSD only, for security, service, and defense, and that's how we're gonna be doing, And the Forgotten Goddess Temple, part of the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to have sports in perpetuity and of course parallel to sports in perpetuity, to have something which is of course the dynamics of having a North American People's Imperial Coliseum, where sports, by the police, by whatever the case may be, by the RCMP, by the police forces on the go, and that's what we're gonna get doing, and universities and high schools and all those institutions and organizations, which of course are part of the North American Collective, to have sports in perpetuity. So I will to build that Coliseum. I'm gonna ask for the construction workers to build it, and to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, you know. And of course to be 11 times bigger than the Caesars Superdome. Caesar's Superdome is of course used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz, before I had another name, just like my name changed, and Mercedes-Benz before, and he was where the hardball ball was fought, aka bro ball, aka blackout ball. Surnames, different names, nicknames. It's like yours truly, Rainbow Cuckold. General Dragon still spitting fire no matter the rainbow. Rainbow Dragon still spits fire. Rainbow Dragons, none of my dragons. I born a dragon, pledge you allegiance, legions. That's RocknRoll 24/7 for the farmers, butchers, truckers, nurses, doctors, those in the daycares who changed some diapers, those beginning their fitness journey. I commenced mine in 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast in August. Went to BC, British Columbia. August, went to BC. Then September, went to Halifax, Nova Scotia. So having crossed Canada coast to coast, that event made me change my whole life. Before that, I was depressed, I was suicidal, and recently in the past more than 44 months, 45, more than 3.5 years, I've accepted that I am different. I have Asperger's, HFA, and so my neurological mental divergent condition makes me that I had a lot of obstacles and job opportunities, lost jobs, lost money, lost friends. But here I am, rent's paid, electricity bills paid. In the backpack, I got 3 bottles of kvass. I got 3 bottles of kvass with that, you know. 3 bottles of kvass, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta be on the circumvention and saluting. And I carpe diem it every day, you know. Carpe diem it every day since I died of COVID, you know. Carpe diem it every day. I am androgynous, pansexual, aspie, and you know, I have this neurodivergence, neurological mental condition, which makes me predisposed to these special interests. And I also, parallel to the North American Imperial Coliseum, I will to build, of course, the Forgotten Goddess, GODDSS, Forgotten Goddess Temple. 11 times bigger than this oratoire. 11 times bigger than this oratoire. And parallel to it, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, built by Canadians and USA, Canada, United States joint, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple to be 11 times bigger than this. 11 times bigger than this. And the other North American People's Imperial Coliseum was the first sports event. We're the first sports event for the youth. The youth, when they smile, always puts a smile. They're happy, I'm happy. Their safety, security, and let's go a little bit of that tickling. They're tickling each other a little bit, so I'm admiring them from a distance. They were tickling each other, so they were having fun, smiling, tickling, and that gives me a little bit of hope, you know, a little bit of joy, their joy, you know. So that's also worth being armed for, you know. So that is something which we gotta get drilling with that and build the Forgotten Goddess Temple to be 11 times bigger than this. Oh yes, the sun, my Pope the King, starts shining, and the goddess GODDSS Forgotten dances with her brother the sun, and being that moon, and you see a little bit of that, flag. I have the flag on me 24/7. You know, I got tatted up Canada, the word Canada, as it was hundreds of years ago, and the maple leaf. So I always have my flag on my right arm. Can't tell me nothing. I don't know, I probably got it more than 22 years ago, maybe. I don't have the recollection. The most I can remember is, of course, 19, not 2019, but about 2019, I can remember a lot clearly. Then when I go 2018, 2017, 2018, 2016, 2015, 2014, there starts like a blackout, retrograde amnesia. Oh, I'm gonna go take a look at that red. You know, red's my favorite color, so wow, I love that red. You know, that is a red. That is nice. Wow, I wish I could drive that. Maybe could drive it on something, but maybe not, you know. I don't know. That's what it is with that, and gotta get it on that. So anyways, the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, plumbers, and electricians, all those involved in the providential, to whatever the case may be here, and that is what it is with that. And we're gonna see a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of rock and roll with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. For the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and grocery store clerks, you know, the plumbers, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that, man, you know. So back to what I was saying, you know. The plumbers, the electricians, you know, grocery store clerks, construction workers. And I was just imagining building the forgotten goddess temple, GODDSS, of many names. She doesn't need me, a piece of dust, to build her temples, because she's got the pyramids. Goddess got the tombs and temples, temples and tombs, tombs and temples, temples and tombs, temples and tombs. The pyramids are. So the goddess is there established, you know. Doesn't need me, limb dick, clit dick, androgynous. Still a priestess of the goddess, nonetheless. Rainbow dragon general cuckold to build her temples. Rainbow. Ensuring freedom, you know. Freedom gotta be ensured, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get admitted and to get it on the go, you know. To get it on the XYZ, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. Here we got a little bit of labor with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the transmission side. You got us aesthetics there, and that's what we gotta get doing on the aesthetic side. And you see a little bit of that. I guess that's doing some essential work right there. See, essential work, and to get it on the go and get it on the now, and that's how we gotta get doing, man. I was trying to see if it's from the States, but I don't think so. I think it's Quebec plates, and sometimes they have, of course, the Quebec plates with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with the XYZ, man. And the butchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the nurses, the doctors, and those firefighters, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those who are there now, man, you know. Let's see that plate. That's how we gotta get doing with that, you know? So something which we gotta do on the transmission side, you know. And that's how we gotta get doing, you know? So we gotta get doing on the go. So we gotta get on that LOV. That's what it is here, you know. We gotta get on that plumbing. Plumbing gotta be done. Trucking gotta be done. Flipping burgers has to be doing now. Workers flipping some burgers for years and years and years. March for the N.A.C.W.P, the North American Collective Workers Party. We gotta get that DRT, the debt refusion theory. Gotta get that DRT, the debt refusion theory, you know. Gotta get that DRT for the creation of the UE, and that's a must. It's super important that we implement, and I always admire construction workers because I gotta put something on the table for the construction workers, you know. Those who build buildings like this, because I'm gonna put some kissing, feet washing of the feet, and massages. Some massages for them to build the North American people's Imperial People's Coliseum, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And the Forgotten Goddess Temple, GODDSS, and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow neurodivergent community, neurotypicals. You gotta support it if you will. And the neurodivergent like myself, Aspies, and for my fellow LGBTQ community being part of both, androgynous pansexual Aspie. And the pyramid, House of the Dragon, red, scarlet, red, and that's what is my will, you know. As I am here, I guess a little bit of that wind stops, rain stops, so I guess I could put this away now. Hold on. Rainbow umbrella, gotta put it in, and I guess I can put it like this. It's gonna look a bit big, like a weapon, you know, with the lion. My will to build a sword. My sword wants to contribute and to have a black dragon snake with a white dragon snake interlaced, and to have rainbow on it, a rainbow lion, and a woman on it, and the blade to be half black, half white, and like the handle kind of be a lot of rainbow. So rainbow, black and white, and rainbow. The S-W-O-R-D, the sword. S-W-O-R-D, the sword. S-W-O-R-D, the sword, like a sword, you know. So construction workers, I gotta put some of those massages, kisses, hugs, and because I know rock and roll sometimes is just blah 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 for some, and I'm an Aspie, so that's something which Aspies, it's typical of Asperger's. We offer something if we can, rather than verbal consolation, or, you know, although we can, myself included, we can be overly intellectual, academic, and verbose, especially when it comes to the use of language and linguistic, especially when it comes to the use of language and linguistic. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on the go, you know. So something which we gotta be prudent about, and we gotta be on the on the go now, and be safe, get back home safe, you know. Make L-O-V-E, love, you know. The body is holy, sacred, and divine, you know. Metal on wheel aside, some $1,000, some $100, $333, $418, $1,000, $2,000, $1 million cars. But at the end of the day, gotta be safe, prudent when you cross the streets, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing. My cousins, my family here, with which I established a strong esprit de corps, you know. When I crossed Canada coast to coast, 2017, and my brothers and sisters in the 50 also, in the 50 states, we got to get rid of that border. We got to implement my DRT and create the Dragon Army, aka North American Imperial Peoples, SSD Legion, SSD Legion, for the 63, 63, 63, for the 50 states, 10 provinces, and 3 territories. The new 911 integrated protocols, because 911 to be formulated by the Dragon Army philosophies for SSD integrated. SSD, Security Service and Defense, SSD, Security Service and Defense, SSD, Security Service and Defense, and that's how we gotta be doing, you know, for the love and for the train conductors as well as the bus drivers, you know. Got a security for, gotta go, see, this is a little bit of an interesting point here, and you know, sometimes just give warnings and give second chances, you know. When you go with bikes or trottinettes, you know, that means the security for the road security for the government of Quebec in French is translated that you got to be on the 25, you know, 25 kilometers. So try to be respectful, mindful of that. You know, it's in public, we got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations, you know. We got children who want to play in the streets across the collective North American civilizational complex. Something which we take into consideration, and as we saw when we came, there's the police officers who were there in the streets because the lights went off, the traffic lights. You know, civilization is a privilege. The traffic lights, traffic rules of conduct in the public, and then you got in the public-private partnership, which my dream is all about, a public-private partnership, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. My public-private partnership is the dancing goddess kingdom, and that's what it is with that. And the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, that's what it is with yours truly, and that's how we gotta be synthesized, and that's what we gotta be doing, you know, for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, and here for the collective, you know, collective North American civilizational complex of North America. We gotta fuse, in my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom for and establish, implement the new 911 protocols to operate solely and only for SSD, Security Service and Defense, to operate solely and only for SSD, Security Service and Defense. I guess that's good. Love is good. Love is good. Love. That's good. That's translated from Spanish and in all languages, love, you know. If you want to love with yours truly, black, white, rainbow, men and women, black, white, rainbow, but you got to be 18, huh? I'm gonna card you. I think Quebec is 16, 16, 16, but still gonna have to be 18. Just like buying booze, buying liquor, that's gonna be my policy. If you can buy legal cannabis or liquor or alcohol, wine in Quebec, Montreal, Quebec, they can come make LOV with me. Black, white, black. A little bit of each, rainbow, men and women, women, men, whatever, you know. Always open for the good loving, rock and roll, good loving. Rainbow dragon, Spitfire nonetheless. Avenge, deliver, and fold. Avenge, deliver, and fold. Avenge, deliver, and fold. Oh, nobody, nothing, zero. Freedom is a double-edged, triple-edged sword, and we got to get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, 21st century SSD. Implement the Dragon Army new 911 protocols for the rehabilitation of the criminal population, the rebuilding of the North American ghettos. We got to rebuild the ghettos. We got to rebuild the ghettos of North America, you know. Got to rebuild the ghettos. And we got to heal here coast to coast. Reconcile just like a great game after a great game of football. One of my top Super Bowls is in the top 5 is the one where Tom Brady won 13-3 against the Rams. The lowest ever Super Bowl score. So in the top 5, paradoxically, the lowest ever score is one of my favorites. And when my 49ers won, but with 55 points, the highest ever scoring Super Bowl. Both are in my top 5. And the Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, also known as the Bro Ball, where my 49ers lost by only 3 points. And that is the Caesar Superdome, known as now, because he changed the name from Mercedes-Benz. So he changed the name. So basically, because he changed the name, you know, because he's changed the name, because I changed my name also, although financially struggling to get that officially done on the paper, but finance open for business 24/7, and you know, turn that A into a no. Nobody's born a dragon. That's the motto of the Dragon Army. Took me years and years and years, and my own created workout training program system, which I done in 2019 to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, because I've been in a World War III mode ever since 2019, when I concluded several levels of analysis that since many regions, geographical regions and nation states were not able to fully resolve their 20th century conflicts from the 20th century, that those conflicts are going to recommence in the 21st century. So that's what's been happening in Russia, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, Hamas, the Gaza situation. Hamas was established in the 1980s. And of course, on the horizon, potentially China, Taiwan, and now India, Pakistan. And they both are nuclear armed. So it's possible that the conflict between Pakistan and India goes nuclear. And again, I say like yesterday, I say today, that the Beyonce's music video, Girls Run the World, which is one of my favorite. I think that is actually the song that I danced most on. As priestess, Hannah, as priestess, Hannah, as priestess. Not a hoe, priestess, not a WHAORE. Holy whore doll. Scorpio, priestess of the goddess, Papa Crowley's daughter. Keep my holy sacred name on your mouth, Indian Hannah Dragon, if it's not for blessing. Otherwise, let it be pestilence. Keep my holy sacred name out of your mouth. If it's not for blessing, otherwise, let it be pestilence. Keep my holy sacred divine name out of your mouth. If it's not for blessing, otherwise, let it be pestilence. Pledge your allegiance. Firefighters, LOV, somebody make some good love to the firefighters. Back in 2019, I predicted what's happening now. I created a workout training program system, designed, created, and made to go hand in hand with such a scenario as was the situation now, what's unfolding now. I predicted it. I have proof. I do have proof of work. I predicted what's happening now in 2019. In 2019, I predicted an international conflagration. I predicted what's happening now in 2019. I'm hoping for the sun, my Pope, the King, to shine. That's why I'm staring a bit at the sky, hoping for some clear skies, and going up and down. I'm actually gonna cross here on the side. I can cross here. Gonna turn left or right, and I can go fast here. Oh yeah. Anyway, so see my fellow citizens doing a little bit of jogging and doing a little bit of that jog, and my cousins or aunties and uncles or my family here in Quebec, and I love to see people work out with that and get a little bit on that go, to get it on the love. And fitness is something which is important, and I love to see people work out, and I love to matchmake. And today make LOVE, hug like you never hugged before. It ain't too much to ask of the true north, strong and free, and the land of the free and the home of the brave, to hug like you never hugged before. As I see here, this is the Canadian Armed Forces. Got to paint a red. Put some paint on it, and I'm calling for my workout, which I created in 2019, to go with a World War III scenario to be established across North America, Canada, United States, armed forces, U.S., Canadian armed forces, police forces, security forces, and in high schools. You can start as young as 7. As young as 7-year-olds, because it's push-ups, hawk squats. The rules are simple, effective, efficient, and I'm going to, of course, discuss it. So the rules are, of course, simple, effective, and efficient. There's the sun, my Pope, the King. As I go to my second home, reach my second home here. Mount Royal. The Belvedere Conjanac. The Belvedere Conjanac is approaching, but this is mountain, and that's the other peak. It's 3-peak mountain system, and the other peak is there, Outremont. So it's 3-peak right at the center, between the east and the west. Right between the east and the west, the 3-peak mountain system in Montreal exists. And of course, like the 3 pyramids, bury me there. A third of me, the city where the 3 pyramids are, where Papa Crowley, Alistair Crowley, Perturabo, prophet of the New Eon, had these revelations. And a third of me buried in Hampton, New Jersey. That way, south. That point, my fingers pointing south. And a third of me here in the back of the Belvedere Conjurac, where I will to build the pyramid House of the Dragon, Scarlet, Crimson Scarlet are shades of red. So let's go, Canadian Armed Forces, sending some love, rock and roll hugs. Marched more than the generals of NATO last week during COVID. I'm auctioning the new boots and the old boots for a billion to give half, 50% to my anonymous friend. Give half, 50% to my anonymous friend, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And that's how we gotta cut it in here. I can go live in the forest. Snake here, snake there, another snake. What I mean by snakes is actually not like the snakes in the Bible where they were sent against Moses' enemies, right? Because there's mention of snakes of fire sent against Moses' enemies. Snakes sent against Moses' enemies. Snakes sent against Moses' enemies in the Bible. Because I mentioned where at one point snakes were sent against Moses' enemies, but by snakes I mean because they look like snakes that trails to the mountain. They look like crawl, snake coiled, right? Maybe the sun spitting snakes 24/7, eh? Sunlight 24/7, sun rises and sets, you know. So here I am at the mountain, and please call all to give some charity, pledge your allegiance, that our family support the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. Because the North American Collective, we can start seeing a bit of that skyline getting clearer, and you see the rocks. See the rocks here, and a bit on the rock side, and right at the center there's the three-peak mountain system known as Mount Royal. It's south. It's not exactly between the north and the south. It's south of the center between the north and the south. But it is right exactly between the east and the west. Between the east and the west. Right between the east and the west. Exactly between the east and the west. He finds the three peaks of the mountain system, and it's slightly south. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get on that rock and roll to get it on the go now, you know. And that's what we gotta be doing. This is the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the farmers, the plumbers, electricians, and I'll take a look at those beauties. Oh yeah, little white flowers there. Little white flowers, you know. Gotta get a little bit of that sun, and get my rainbow. Rainbow umbrella. Fell down a little bit. Hey, that's the Hydro-Quebec. Love you, Hydro-Quebec. Go. Give you some kisses, some massages, and I always include them in my marches, you know, for Hydro-Quebec to go on the workers of the 20th century who built all the buildings, and it's something which we gotta go see and solidify and build more. All the dams, 63 dams of Hydro-Quebec, which provides all the kilowatt and function there. Another Hydro-Quebec truck to go on the go, and that's how we gotta get some loving for them, and we gotta march, you know, for the Hydro-Quebec on the go, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know. Hydro-Quebec workers gonna rock and roll for them, and they're there doing a little bit of that good and doing some work, and I guess the third truck is gonna come, and I needed to go get that hydration because I am really dehydrated, and I started filming a bit, like almost 45 minutes, so keep in mind that I'm more than an hour and a half in my march and I haven't hydrated, so I gotta get a little bit of that hydration, you know, to get it on that hydration, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get doing for the marching included for the workers of Hydro-Quebec of the 20th century, meditating, and we gotta visit those to solidify. We will to go see the Bay James. All civilization is a privilege, eh? To have electricity, running water. All this is a privilege, and now electricity goes to 5 or 6 states in the US. So we gotta get the collective, you know. We gotta get collective, we gotta get rid of the border, create the new 911 protocols, Dragon Army. the 63 legions for the 63, get rid of the border, create a common currency via the DRT, and do a census, a great North American collective census of all the population to see the eligibility for work on the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, to build the tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. That's what we gotta be doing on that, you know, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know, and see my brothers and sisters here, and they're doing on the go, and they're doing on the love side of things, and that's what we gotta get doing, see. And here we're gonna go hydrate. So the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, that's what we're gonna get doing on the go with that. That's what we're gonna get doing on the love, and the firefighters, butchers, and the bakers, nurses, and the doctors, and those which we gotta get doing, you know, with that. So it's something which we gotta get doing with that, you know. So something which we gotta be meditating about, and something which we gotta make peace and reconcile in a way here where we have in the North American complex. In the North American complex, Canada and the United States, our common destiny, bound together by common destinies and common arts, and that's what we gotta do. The culture, the practice, and that's what we gotta get doing with the love, you know. So it's something which we gotta be. Oh yeah, there's what I want here. Imagine all the work, to build underneath. So much work was done underneath to have all this water here. I always admire the engineering and the public works which was done here for us to have this water. I'm gonna hydrate and continue. Oh yeah. Oh, that felt good. Thank you, public workers. I gotta give some credit, some respect. And if you like hockey cultural history here, you can check out the. So this is Jean-Believe. Oh, that means that's homage for his 50th 500 goal. Bu's goal in French. And this was in French. And on 11th of February 1971, when he scored his. Jean-Believe is a famous hockey player, 500 goal. 11 February 1971, you have the picture signed there. I have the skates, Jean-Believe skates here, you know. So these are the actual skates of Jean-Believe when he counted his 500 goal, 11th of February. Wow, imagine 500 goals in 1971. So go Habs, go, allez Canadiens, allez Canadiens. That's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get doing, you know, so. And so I gotta get now, I'm gonna get a little bit of that main out and gotta go do it here and gotta let that main out, man. Gotta let that main out. You know, watch for the sun. Hoping for the sun a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, pretty much sure it's gonna come out. The sun gonna come out, man. Let's go in not 40 seconds, you know, but that's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what I'm gonna get doing with that. And that's what we're gonna get doing. And here I will, of course, to get my main out, let loose. Because I'm in, yes, I said 40 seconds. Even earlier, 22. Thank you. That's my Pope, the King, the Sun. And now I let my main out. I gotta get it on the love, and oh yeah, see, not a lot of people. Yesterday was full, but when it rains, I come here when it's winter storms. Sometimes I come here like I'm just myself, you know. It's like snow, you know, just me and the snowstorms. I come here and like just nobody but me. And you can see how the sun now coming out, you know. Yeah. it's the sun, man. That's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get. Oh yeah, thank you. It's not just for me, it's for us. And now I'm gonna discuss the DRT. You can see a little bit of fishy, fishes, fishes, that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the fish side of things, and that's what we gotta go on that meditation, so it's XYZ, butchers, plumbers, nurses, doctors, and the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, farmers, bakers, cooks, and I will to paint these. Bring me the paint, bring me the permission, and I'll paint all of these, and all of these gonna paint them, and gonna put them some nice painting. I always paint them some blue, white, red, green, rainbow, and they haven't been painted in decades, probably more than 44 years. And see the sun starting shining right when I said 40 seconds, 44, 40 seconds, 44, 40 seconds, 44. It was actually 22 seconds earlier. So I'm grateful for the sunshine. Grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid. Thousands of truckers on the road, thousands of nurses, thousands of daycare workers changing diapers, butchers, electricians, plumbers, all those involved in the electricians, all those involved in the distribution, production of food. And I like that red, but that's, it should be commissioned to do it, but I guess I do a homosexual scene with Brad Pitt right here on the mountain, a homosexual scene. I'm willing to do a homosexual scene with Brad Pitt for $1 million to give half to my anonymous sister. Give half, 50% to my anonymous sister, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get on the sun, and gonna discuss now the DRT, the debt refusion theory, and that's what we're gonna get doing for that. And so we're gonna get doing for the truckers and the butchers, the bakers, the electricians, the plumbers, daycare workers, cousins, brothers and sisters here who come a little bit join and have some fun. And I see some more people. Yesterday was full, but I guess because it's rain now, they're gonna come maybe more people because of the sun. But sometimes I come here, you see my videos like storm from December, January, February. It's like a snowstorm. I'm here in the snowstorm on the mountain. The all season, all terrain, 24/7. Rap, I guess. Rap, rock and roll rap, I guess, like the 24/7, like the police. The police, 911 Canada, United States is 24/7. 911 like the 24/7, like the police across the 50 states, 10 territories and provinces. Should get that new 911 protocols for security, service, and defense, and of course implement my Trinity theories. And I'm gonna now discuss the DRT, the debt refusion theory. Super important, and I discussed the DRT, debt refusion theory. Now that I'm on the subject, pledge your allegiance, to our family, and the DRT is of course my theory for, of course, the creation of the complex, the dream for the 63, to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions to mass finance the building of the 44 tunnels. It's got to be put into garbage because this could be swallowed. For years and years and years I've been doing volunteering, and it's dirty, so it's not recyclable. But don't leave trash here if you come. So I'm now hoping to get a response from the Ami de la Montagne, get a response from the Ami de la Montagne to get it on the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing on the go to do the work, plumbers, electricians, firefighters, train conductors, construction workers, the butchers, the bakers, those flipping some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers, cheeseburgers, across the collective, to get it for the recycling here. This has to be put in the trash, you know, something which we gotta do because it's dirty, and I don't mind people eating or drinking, but it has to be either recycled or trash, you know, because that's what we got there, you know. So that's what we gotta be doing, and that's what we gotta be doing on that, and to get on the left or right and see somebody going on the go there, or go deep in the forest, you know. That's what we're gonna do. Deep in the forest, you know. Deep in the forest, you know. You know, we gotta meditate, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get this encouragement from my brothers and sisters. Black, white, white, black for the dragons. My brothers and sisters, cousins there who do a little bit on that jogging side, and the jogging side for the go, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, to get it on the go and get that DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the Yui. And that's what it is, man. Here in the wilderness, you gotta be careful because there's branches. So I always let people know the branches, especially after rain or storm and thunder, you know, you just see branches all over falling down from the trees, and that's what we gotta get doing for that. And then we get a little bit of that for cousins there, doing some loving and getting for the XYZ, and getting on the sunshine, getting on the sun is shining, singing melodies for the harmony, for the DRT. Pledge your allegiance, legions, our family. And I go, ready to go for the black and white and rainbow. And you, me, and you, and see. Gotta live in harmony for that mother nature and civilization. Gotta give it that collective. Firefighters and the truckers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, train conductors. Gotta see for you and for me. Let's go for the DRT, debt refusion tree. Now I'm gonna be honest. So the DRT, debt refusion tree, I guess, comes out of the curse of Asperger's, which has some blessings. And again, Asperger's is not a mental illness. Like my fellow citizen said earlier, it's a neurological mental divergent condition. It makes us that we have our special interest, special focused interest, and that's what we are, you know. We have our special focused interest, and that's what we have, and that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on that, and that's all we gotta fabricate and do, and we gotta implement the DRT. So I would have been there with Carney and Trump, and I would have clearly explained the DRT, debt refusion theory. Because regardless of the left or the right paradigm, the problem is today, in today's financial situation, is that the DRT is the only solution. Once we can implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory, with the creation of the universal exchange in it. The DRT. Why do I make that statement? The statement that I make is due to the fact that yesterday, actually last year to be precise, we paid on the public debt. We paid on the public debt. We paid $46.5 billion. $46.5 billion. $46.5 billion. That is the amount which we paid on the public debt. $46.5 billion. That is just the amount which we paid on the public debt last year. That amount consequently translates to 46,000. A billion has not 7 or 8 zeros, it has 9 zeros. 9 zeros, that is a hell of a lot. Is 1,000 million a billion. It's not 7 or 6, it's not 7 or 8, it's 9 zeros. It's 9 zeros a billion. So the number has more than doubled from 2020 to 2021. Look at that beautiful field of yellow flowers. Majestic yellow flowers. I think it's starting to rain again. Where's the rainbow, I guess? Could be a rainbow with the sun, but I guess we got the umbrella handy, and we got some yellow flowers, and we're gonna just put the umbrella back in business. So back to what I was saying, that we paid last year, the amount of interest was 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. consequently, is the interest only which we paid on the public debt. So that's why I should have been on the table in the Washington and discussed with Trump and Carney my ideas, theories, protocols, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, and the DFT, the democratic fusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. The universal exchange. The universal exchanges. That's how we gotta be doing, you know. Here on the mountain, we get a little bit of sense of nature and gonna discuss the DRT, the DRT. And that's what we gotta be doing with that. So that's why we gotta be on the go. So that's how we gotta be measuring now, you know. The fact that we're on an emergency point, and it's possible that by the time I get back home, that the financial crisis begins. You got everything you need. I'm not gonna feed. Nature provides. So the DRT is the only solution to where we are now today, presently, with the public financial situation. And again, due to the fact that we paid last year 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest compared to 2020, 2021, when the number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion was 40.6 billion. That would have been double. 20.3 double would have been 40.6. 20.3 double would have been 40.6. So that is, of course, the amount which we paid on the public debt. 40.6 would have been double. The number was going to be 46.5. 46.5. 46.5. 20.3 double, that's 40.6. So the number was 46.5 billion. So there's no way, there's no other way out of the situation now. But my DRT, paradoxically, the paradox, of course, the paradoxically, that of course we paid so much interest, just the interest on the public debt. So there's no other way but the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange rate. There's no other way but the DRT for the establishment of the 63 SSD Legion, Service, Security and Defense. SSD Legion, Service, Security and Defense. Look at those beautiful white flowers there. Wow, they grew so big. They grew so big now. They're so big. Sun is coming out again. Where's the rainbow? Probably across the island metropolis. There's no way out of the situation. Something similar to my theory, yes. To my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, which of course includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory being the financial theory which the Europeans implemented in the European Union by the creation of the euro and the ECB, where the Germans, they destroyed the Germans, their own national banks, and the Italians also, the French also. They destroyed the national central banks in the 1990s, and they created the ECB, the European Central Bank, which of course issues the euro. So back to what I was saying, of course, that my debt refusion theory is the only solution due to the fact of how much we paid in interest. Just the interest was 46.5 billion, and yes, due to COVID, the coronavirus, which has been last 3 weeks ago under the revision that, of course, coronavirus was probably most likely caused by a laboratory creation in a man-made, created in the laboratory. So I don't know COVID. I believe it was snakes. Coronavirus, I had it, I survived it. It was really hardcore. I thought that was my last chapter. I survived COVID in February 2020. I got three vaccines. So I'm triple vaccinated, and I keep the protocols of the public hygiene to the best of my abilities. Disinfect microbes, germs, bacteria. And of course, that's what it is with that. So that's what I am here. They're discussing the solution, the DRT. So I don't know. COVID, I believe it was transmitted from snakes to human beings. Second, I cannot rule out another possibility because I don't know for sure. So fourth dimension to that trinity, believing it was snakes, not being certain, not having 100% clarity on that. I cannot rule out another possibility. What I do know is that before COVID in October, November 2019, I had concluded that in the coming years, there's going to be an international conflagration, aka World War III. So I made and created a workout training program system, officially titled the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, of which I performed myself more than 372 sessions, and I turned that A into an O. Dragon became Dragon, the A into an O, and I became Hana, H, and you know, each name changed 1, 2, 3, and that's what it is. And that's what it is with that. And that's what it is. So, back to what I was saying, and that's what it is, and they could go get it on that, and that's how they can go on the go, you know. So, something which we gotta be doing, the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So, the DRT, debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory, debt refusion theory, they're happy, I guess, couples, and that gives me hope. My cousins are doing a little bit of that jogging there. My cousins, family, you know, who come to join us. And there's the hawk, H-A-W-K, you know, that's what it is. And I saw the hawk bird and H-A-W-K, and they're happy singing and doing a little bit of that jogging. And I love to match make, and that's what it is with that. And so we're gonna get dealing with the love side of things. To love your pretty youth there. Oh, the youth, they're going to the mountain because they're exploring the mountain a little bit. That's good. Let them be happy, joyous, the youth, you know. And we gotta get it on the sun shining, and that's how we gotta get for the DRT, the debt refusion theory, you know, for the creation of the universal exchange, and the debt refusion theory. I'm gonna explain it as soon as possible, actually as simple as possible, because due to Asperger's, there's a characteristics which we have a tendency to utilize too much verbosities, which are not necessary, academic, intellectual, sophisticated language. So the debt refusion theory also includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. And again, due to the coronavirus, the amount of interest which we paid skyrocketed. I love crows and I love hawks. Hawk, H-A-W-K is my totem bird, but I sing rock and roll. There's the hawk. And that was the crow. So both can tango, kiss both, you know. Kiss both, not a problem, but hawk, H-A-W-K, that's my totem bird, so. Now, I love crows also. Kiss a crow. Kiss you, black and white and rainbow. You gotta implement the DRT, debt refusion theory, which includes monetary integration theory. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. And again, there's no other solution, and we're on the verge of a public financial collapse again, because our GDP, our gross domestic product, did not double. So basically, because it did not double, we have to cut the budget. What are we gonna cut, Uncle Carney? The king is absent. It's time for the republic. What are we gonna cut? The sanitation, the RCMP, the prisons, the police, the healthcare system. We're gonna have to cut because our GDP didn't double. Our interest payments on the public debt doubled. The public and the private financial situation pretty much is co-equivalent, both the United States and Canada. So, being that it's co-equivalent of both the United States and Canada, we have to implement it simultaneously, Canada, US, United States, Canada. That's why should have been on the table. I'm building a new table. Financially stressed, $10,000 in debt. Paid my rent, got those kwas, three bottles of black kwas, because there's also a white one. And there might be a pink one, I'm not sure, but there might be other type of kwas, but this one is rye, and for usually it's like $5, so I save some money, and I buy it rarely, but it's a healthy alternative anyways. So I'm financially stressed, I budget tightly, but I calculate that if I spread this out, I'm able to treat myself for these 3 bottles, and they're bigger than 2 liters. They're 2.5 liters, so I got 7.5 liters across. Should last me at least 11 days if I drink one during the weekdays and in the Sabbath, or spread them over the 3 Sabbaths. So the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, the DRT supported that refusion theory. We're gonna take all the public and the private, and again, just like an individual whose debt, whose interest payments, let's say I don't have a credit card myself, but citizen XYZ, if the interest payments goes from 156 to 333, right? Because 156 double is 312. And what happened to the public debt? To the public debt is of course more than double. It more than double. It more than double. More than double, right? The public debt. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. So the DRT, that refusion theory for the creation of the UE, is what we gotta do. Again, there's no other way. No other way. So again, my DRT includes monetary integration theory. So because just like a citizen whose interest payments double while the salary does not, the same mathematical financial principle is that the citizen will have to cut if the interest payments in 3 years, let's say from 2020, 2021 to 23 last year, it goes from 156 to 333, the citizen has to cut. I reduce the spending. That's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. So that's what we gotta get on the love. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000, my 10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all that money, the public and the private debt. Here's the headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. Here's the headquarters. Then you can see a little bit of that. You can see a little bit of that love in there, man. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna convert it. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it 10,000, and my 10,000, your 10,000, whatever the case may be. I got $10,000 in debt, my debt, your debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. That money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. And we're gonna create the UE, the universal exchange unit, the UE. U.universal E.exchange.unit. The U.universal E.exchange.unit. The UE. The universal exchange unit. The universal exchange is going to be having the value of the US dollars. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. And with that money, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure, the aqueducts. We're going to build the 44 tunnels. Rebuild the aqueducts, the bridges of North America, mass finance fitness, mass finance the building of the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Mass finance fitness. We're going to mass finance fitness, citizens, tourism across the 63, 10 provinces, 50 territories, 3 territories, 10 provinces, 3 territories, and 50 states across the 63. So we're going to finance that. We're going to finance the rebuilding of more hydroelectric dams, building more hydro dams, rebuilding our North American collective infrastructure, the bridges, the aqueducts, and mass finance citizens work, mass finance volunteering, mass finance citizens to work out and build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Let's hydrate HYDRATE. So that's what we gotta be doing. It is a matter of emergency, natural emergency, and financial fiscal emergency. That's what we're gonna have to do. Canada, United States both, and do a census. Census of the population. Get rid of the border, and focus on the ports and the airports with Bill Gates and other tech institutions and organizations in the public-private security sectors and police services and armed forces. We're gonna build centers, 44 centers or more, 63 major ones and small ones where citizens can go and check all the activities across the 63 where volunteering is needed, where emergency response is needed, where other affairs are needed, to volunteer for the go. And that's what we're gonna get doing with that, to volunteer for the doers, the butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the doctors and the firefighters and all those who are involved in the production, distribution of food. Here we are, the flag need to be in the US flag there, and flag of the dragon with stars and stars and 63 stars. Gotta get 63 and the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and gotta get it for the building, and gotta get it for the no. Salut! Je suis bien curieux. C'est quoi? Vous avez une fabrique de bateaux? Ah, vous faites juste la réparation ici? OK. Puis comment ça fonctionne? C'est par le bénévolat? Comment ça fonctionne?
C'est les chaloupes qui sont sur le lac des Castalades.
OK. Eh bien, OK, c'est quelque chose. Je me demandais, vous faisiez quoi ici? Puis c'est bien curieux de savoir. OK. Je ne voulais pas vous déranger. Puis la peinture, vous en mettez dedans, dessus?
Oui, à la fin.
Comment ça marche? Pour, si, mettons, j'aurais un bateau, je n'ai pas, là, mais comment ça fonctionnerait, mettons?
Ça dépend vraiment des cas, mais dans le cas de ceux-là, ça dépend.
Ah ouais?
Tout.
OK.
Ensuite, il y a des endroits où il y a des pièces qui sont faites, bon, on les répare.
Wow.
Ensuite, on va peinture.
Okay. So what I asked is, of course, if they, what are they doing there? What are they doing with that? And that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And they're doing a little bit of both, a little bit of that both, So that's what it gotta be, Calm. Yeah. There we go. Greatest city on the planet. Greatest city on the planet. You got that pyramid there. That is my favorite skyscraper with that, and that's what I go doing with that, Yes. Anyways, that's what it is with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, That's what we gotta get a little bit of hydration and get the DRT. And this is not yet open, man. Gotta be open soon, maybe soon, hopefully soon. But if not, we got it inside there, So that's what we gotta get doing, to get that rock and roll. And gonna go in the back and switch to that French cuisine La Belle Province and go around it, and gotta get it for the doers, and gonna get it inside deep where I love to go there. And that's what we gotta get doing, for the XYZ, and a little bit of that yellow flowers, and get a little bit of that loving, and a little bit of that DRT again. So I'm gonna revise the DRT, the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory, So the DRT includes monetary integration theory. This is my theory for the North American collective. For the North American collective, you know, for the North American collective to do what need to be done and implemented. Actually, you know, it's very rare that I am gonna go on a rarity. Usually, I'm gonna go by the side. So, actually, hold on. Usually, sometimes I go by that side like that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do the reverse, right? So instead of going east, I'm gonna go west round about it, right? And rediscuss the DRT and come back and do the cadence, you know, the cadence. So here it is, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess Dragon Kingdom, my favorite skyscrapers. You can see the 50 states, and you can see, of course, the river. You can see the river. Go butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, truckers, rock and roll for them, and construction workers. Let's build on the Canadian-U.S. border, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, you know, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum with that, and that's what I gotta be seeing on that building here. Made it to the top, and yep, sun is shining, and grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bill paid, and always grateful, thankful, although financially stressed. You can come get a coffee, and here the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess Dragon Kingdom, building a new table here, and here on across the mountain in my underground room off St. Temple there. I got it last year, got 2 sites, providentially for Canada, United States, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. That's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So it's something which they gotta be doing on the go, you know, to get it on the love and the harmony, and gotta be implementing the DRT, you know, the debt refusion theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, the DRT for the creation of the UE, universal exchange, and that's how we're gonna get doing. So the DRT debt refusion theory, we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, my $10,000, your 10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's what it is with that. That's what it is. You know, that's how we do it in America, man. Anyway, so the DRT debt refusion theory, we have to implement it. Anyways, so that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So the DRT debt refusion theory, you can take that route also. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my 10,000, your 10,000. Isn't that just a beautiful piece of nature? So we're gonna take all the debt, my debt, your debt, our debt, all the debt, public and private debt, including my 10,000, Canada, United States simultaneously. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that money, we're gonna add it with the US public-private debt, and we're gonna create the UE, universal, exchange, UUIT, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. That's what we're gonna get doing, and that's what we're gonna get on the go, you know. So you know, so the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, which we're gonna do, you know. So that's how we're gonna get on that rock and roll, you know. And we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna create all the public-private debt, and that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Whatever the name we give it, we're gonna issue this new currency called the UE, the universal exchange unit, and that's what we're gonna be doing. The universal exchange is gonna have an interest rate level of 10%, and that's what we're gonna be doing with that. 10%, it could be below 10%, it could be 3.33, 7.18, 4.18, 9.3, 1.56, 6.1, 9.3, below 3, below correction, below 10 by principle. And with that money, we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure of North America, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance citizens to train, mass finance citizens to exercise, mass finance the rebuilding of the 44, building construction 44 tunnels across North America in case of a thermonuclear war, inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, which is the mountain, the headquarters of NORAD, the Cheyenne Mountain, and by the Montreal Underground Village. 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. That's what we gotta be building. That's what we gotta get on that rock and roll. And that's what we gotta be constructing. So that's what we gotta be doing. Constructing that and financing citizens to work out, building the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, where the inauguration event is gonna be me fighting Donald Trump, sportsmanship, sportsmanlike. Dragon versus Trump since 2018, where we're gonna have sports in perpetuities, where the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, and university sports, men, women, and neurodivergent sports, and all sports activities, neuroabled and differently abled, and we're gonna have it with the Forgotten Goddess Temple building, Goddess Temple. I lay the foundations with trillions of kisses. The foundation of trillions of kisses. And my DRT with the CIT and the Democratic Fusion Tree for the creation of the two complementary cooperative institutions, the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get on the go. The Dragon Army for SSD only, Security Service and Defense, and the North American People's Imperial SSD, Security Service and Defense, and the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, for the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, aka the North American Integrated Dance League, to be for total environmental cleaning, education, for pleasure, because dancing is pleasurable and joyful, and the DGA, complementary covenant with the Dragon Army, aka the North American Imperial SSD Legion, the SSD Legion for the 63. We're gonna get rid of the border and do a census, create a passport, see who's been living here since 2020, February 2017, 2019, and see if the eligibility and amnesty given thereof. And that's the dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. We have to implement the DRT, the Debt Refusion Treaty. There's no other way. You can argue all you want, but there's no way out of where we are, the situation now. The DRT, Debt Refusion Treaty. There's no solution because we're on the verge of a public collapse. It can happen today or tomorrow or in the coming days, weeks, months ahead. Mr. Connie, Uncle Connie, what are we gonna cut? Prisons and RCMP, police, national security, sanitation. The DRT is the solution or something very similar. And that's what we're gonna be doing. The DRT, Debt Refusion Theory, to create it, of course. The DRT is something which we gotta be implementing, the Debt Refusion Theory for the creation of the UE. And that's what we're gonna be doing. The DRT, Debt Refusion Theory for the creation of the UE is the solution. My cousins, they are running, and the only solution. And in a parallel life, I know everything to know about microchips, computers, satellite supercomputers, and science technology, like antennas such as this. Please, in the radio wave, send some LOV for the firefighters, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors. Send some gratitude and propose something rather than blah 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 criticism 24/7. It gets stale, it gets parasitical. Love you farmers, firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors. We're gonna get those cadence, you know. Big loving hug like you never hugged before today. Not too much to ask. From the land of the free and the home of the brave, where I was born in the 3 past incarnations. Once a woman, twice a man. When I was born as a man, served in the same United States Armed Forces. Twice, 2 different times. Different wars, 156 years apart. Read George Patton through a glass darkly. And now we're gonna play that SSD. Canada United States joint. SSD. Security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. We're gonna play the SSD. Security, service, and defense. That's all we're gonna play, and that's how we're gonna be rock and rolling here under the sun, on earth, under the stars with the 93, and switch a little bit of that French, you know, because you know where we are. We're in La Belle Province, so rock and roll. Ready for French? Ready or not, here it comes. French, because we're in La Belle Province. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and we're gonna rock and roll on the drum, and that's how we're gonna be rock and rolling on here with now, and that's how we're gonna get on that interactions. Whoa, we're gonna go check out that field of white flowers and sing some rock and roll and switch it to that French. Hey, let's see, 45 fighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, for the SSD. I'm an N.A.C.W.P. I can sing a little bit of nasty. I can sing a little bit of nasty. Got 18 plus it for it, love it. Less than lick it, flip it. Please give some chatty Wall Street. Finance the public workers, the nurses. Those who pick up the recycling, the garbage, the compost. Finance them some massage therapy sessions. Because they deserve it, earn it more than me. I'm going to take a bath today or tomorrow. You know, so what a beautiful field of white flowers. Beautiful field in the mountain, on the mountain, in the forest. My second home, the Mount Royal. You don't gotta sing it, gotta swing it. For the white flowers, white flowers, gotta smell it. From the black, black, black fertile earth with a red sun, that's the shining, that's the one. You know, kiss and hug and do. That's the white little flower, I see you. For the golden, golden for the showers. You know that I give it higher. Higher for the left, higher for the right. Higher for the left and right. For the trouble with no dollars. For the trouble with no dollars. You know that I gotta lick it, kiss it, and flip it on the butchers. On the bakers, gotta see it for you be it. Gotta live this for you trip it. On the trip and on the go. You know that I flavor, that rock and the roll and the English and French. Cause we in La Belle Province, so you know. I just spit it on the go. For the firefighters, butchers, truckers, nurses, and the firefighters, plumbers, train conductors. Let me hear some French. Cause we're in La Belle Province. With this one, plantation zone right here, plantation zone, plantation zone. Et on est rendu sur la montagne. Québécois, québécoise. Je commence avec la gratitude. Et mon parapluie qui bouge, parapluie arc-en-ciel avec les belles fleurs blanches. Faites attention, soyez prudents sur la montagne, tu sais. Et quelle belle petite fleur. Sur la montagne, ça fait bien sûr des choses ici, que ça tombe, des branches comme ça, que ça tombe bien sûr dans cet environnement ici, pour que ça tombe dans cette démarche, ou de la démarche qu'ils ont pour en faire bien sûr dans ce compromis qu'on a fait, pas juste le compromis du français pour le collectif nord-américain. Puis vous savez que justement tantôt je parlais que moi je vis avec une condition qui est connue comme l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, et puis bien sûr j'avais discuté avec quelqu'un, puis j'ai discuté, c'est pour ça que tu vois les branches ici, ça tombe. Fait que ça là, c'est pour ça que vous voyez, il faut que vous soyez prudent, il faut que j'avertis les gens, tu sais. Vous voyez cette branche là, je l'ai ajoutée là-bas. Ça vient d'ici, des fois ça tombe, tu sais. Puis ça peut tomber comme ces branches-là, là, comme celle-là, là, et dans le chemin. Fait que c'est pour ça, quand il y a de la pluie, quand ça mouille, quand il y a le vent, là, ça, il y a un danger. Ça, vous voyez depuis des années, j'avertis les citoyens, tu sais. Parce que, tu sais, c'est... on peut tomber sur la tête de moi-même, hein. Je suis pas humain, là. Pas d'immunité à ça, c'est la nature. Il faut que je fasse le respect comme je fais mes salutations solaires. Le pape, moi, mon pape, c'est le soleil, puis mon église, mes scriptures, c'est le RocknRoll, puis bien sûr la déesse. Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse. Fait que, il y a bien des choses que je ne sais pas, bien des mystères, des mystiques moi-même, mais il y a bien des choses que j'ai des questions, là, je n'ai pas toutes les réponses pour venir, puis me demander, là, parce que j'en ai pas, là, j'ai les mystères plus que d'autres choses. Bon, tantôt, je discutais un matin, quand il pleuvait, avec un citoyen, qui était linguiste, et parler des langues, quelqu'un qui parle plusieurs langues, et quelqu'un qui fait des études des langues. Et bien sûr, j'ai demandé s'il parlait l'espéranto. L'espéranto, c'est une langue qui a été construite au 20e siècle. C'était envisagé pour être un langage universel. Un langage universel. C'était vu pour être un langage universel, l'espéranto. Ça n'a pas bien eu de solution pour que ça soit, bien sûr, un langage dans cette manière, pour que ça soit, bien sûr, un langage qui a été avec succès, implémenté avec succès pour que ça soit un langage international. Mais ça a été comme la construction de ce langage fait par plusieurs langues, puis supposément un grammaire, un syntaxe quand même assez simple pour apprendre, mais il n'y a pas beaucoup de monde qui le parle, c'est l'espéranto. Bon, pour dire ces choses-là, bien sûr, c'est que bien sûr, pour que moi-même je vis avec l'Asperger's, c'est l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, et bien, avec l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, c'est des choses qu'il faut que je fasse dans cette circonférence où que je suis rendu maintenant à faire. Puis bien sûr, le citoyen a dit que c'est une maladie. Puis j'ai dû corriger, non, c'est pas une maladie, encore une fois. L'Asperger's, là, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, encore une fois, l'erreur, là, ben des gens font, ils pensent que c'est une maladie, là, qu'il n'y a pas de médicament pour l'Asperger's. Oui, les Aspi, comme moi-même, qui vivent avec l'Asperger's, besoin d'un certain, c'est sûr qu'on a besoin d'un certain soutien de compréhension parce que on est différent, notre cerveau, il est différent. Fait que notre cerveau, il est différent. L'affaire, c'est que notre cerveau est différent, fait que nous, on voit les choses d'une manière différente. Fait qu'on voit les choses d'une manière différente. Fait qu'on a de la misère à certaines choses. Dans certaines choses, dans certaines choses, c'est sûr qu'on a de la misère, tu sais. Fait que dans certaines choses, on a de la misère, ben, c'est plus d'autres choses que on a de la misère, bien sûr, pour le faire, bien sûr, que la compréhension sociale ou le dialogue avec d'autres, ça peut être un peu bizarre, ça peut être un peu étrange. C'est la manière qu'on s'exprime des fois, le verbal, tu sais, le non-verbal, ou des fois, tu sais, on va dire 2-3 fois la même chose, on va répéter la même phrase. L'écolélia, c'est un caractéristique, parce que c'est pas des symptômes, l'Asperger's, c'est pas des symptômes, c'est des caractéristiques. Fait qu'on va dire la même chose, ben, l'écolélia, tu sais, on va répéter 2-3 fois la même chose que quelqu'un quelque chose qui dit. Quelqu'un qui dit quelque chose, on va dire 2-3 fois la même chose, tu sais. Fait qu'on va dire 2-3 fois la même chose, ou on va répéter la même phrase que quelqu'un dit. On va dire quelque chose, fait que la même chose. Mettons, toi tu vas dire, ou quelqu'un va dire, il fait beau aujourd'hui, vraiment le temps il est beau, fait qu'on va répéter verbatim per verbatim, mot par mot, qu'est-ce que la personne elle vient de dire. Ben, pas toujours, là, mais de temps en temps. Fait que ça peut offenser, ça peut être comme, oh, ben, c'est bizarre un peu, puis c'est-tu pour me faire chier ou des choses comme ça. Non, c'est pas ça, c'est parce que c'est des caractéristiques. Puis j'ai vécu mon propre traume moi-même, je vis avec mes cicatrices, je me suis fait attaquer par surprise, sûrement à cause de l'Asperger's, là, puis je suis tombé, je me suis cogné à la tête, tombé, j'avais le bras disloqué. Je suis allé à l'hôpital juif, j'ai eu comme des médicaments, tu sais. J'ai eu des médicaments, bien sûr. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'ils me fassent. Tu sais, fait que, ayant vécu du bullying, là, c'est des choses vraiment qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Et voilà. Fait que c'est ça l'Asperger, c'est ça l'autisme hautement fonctionnel. Ça fait que j'ai des choses de divergence. C'est une neurodivergence. Notre cerveau il est différent. Il y a une mutation dans le cerveau. Fait qu'il y a une mutation. Cette mutation-là, ça fait qu'on a des intérêts spéciaux qui préoccupent la plupart de notre life. Fait que moi, là, depuis des années, ça fait 3 choses par jour, avec intensité, avec concentration, super dedans. C'est l'analyse de la théorie en géopolitique. Je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mes analyses de théorie en géopolitique. J'aurais aimé ça être là avec Carney, M. Carney aujourd'hui le 6 mai. Je suis allé vers l'autre bord aux États-Unis, nos voisins, nos cousines, cousins, frères et sœurs aux États-Unis. Bien sûr, à Washington, il est allé faire du dialogue, parler des communications, bien sûr, faire des communications, ou faire des arrangements, faire une négociation. Puis encore une fois, je le répète, hein, ben, nos chefs, nos leaders, que ce soit n'importe qui, le roi est absent. Le roi, il va venir. Qu'est-ce qu'il va venir? Il va venir puis il va repartir. Le roi est absent, c'est le temps pour la République. Je veux rien savoir du 20e siècle, là, que nos chefs, puis que ce soit Carney ou ça aurait été Poliev, là, mais qui prête allégeance, serment au roi, là, allégeance au roi Charles et ses héritiers. Là. Ça, c'est des choses qui auraient dû rester dans le 20e siècle. Là. Ça n'a pas de place dans le 21e siècle pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, pour le Canada. C'est le temps pour la République. C'est le temps pour la TRD parce qu'on est à veille d'avoir un effondrement financier des publics, un effondrement des finances publiques peut-être dès aujourd'hui, ça commence. Peut-être l'Inde et le Pakistan commencent une guerre aujourd'hui. C'est possible, hein? Un crash boursier, c'est des choses qui sont fortement probables, c'est des choses qui sont fortement possibles. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut le faire dans cette manière pour les faire. Pour le faire aujourd'hui, puis pour demain. Parce que bien sûr, M. Carney et Donald Trump, ils vont faire une rencontre. J'aurais dû être là, d'expliquer de la TRD, puis bien sûr, de mon travail en géopolitique, les philosophies, que des fois, je dois discuter juste avec les chefs des armées et de sécurité, parce que ça a la référence, de la référence à la sécurité nationale, tout le travail que j'ai fait, puis moi-même, je suis vulnérable là, dans certaines choses avec l'Asperger's. Moi, je connais la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique, sur la danse, et mon sport préféré, puis le rock'n'roll. Fait que depuis bien des années, surtout depuis 2017, là, quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte, en 2017, ça fait plus que 7 ans, en août, je suis allé à Colombie-Britannique, à Vancouver, Colombie-Britannique. Puis après ça, je suis de retour à Montréal, puis en septembre, on est allé à Halifax, en Nouvelle-Écosse. Fait que cet événement, ça m'a complètement changé ma vie. Complètement changé ma vie. Complètement changé ma vie. J'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire, puis malheureusement, dans ma communauté d'Asperger's, des autistes hautement fonctionnels, l'ASPI, parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's dans le monde, c'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, 0,44%, ils ont l'Asperger's. Fait que nous, il y a des choses qu'on a de la misère. Moi, j'ai juste besoin d'un soutien, puis malheureusement, il y a un gros taux de chômage de l'Asperger's, il y a un gros taux de chômage. Le taux de chômage il est élevé, là. C'est haut, là. C'est pas beaucoup, là. Il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Asperger's, mais nous, il faut nous le dire directement des choses. Pour qu'on fasse les choses, on va le faire. Moi-même, je vais le faire avec peut-être enthousiasme, avec joie. Je suis jovial, je vis un stress financier. Mon seul stress en ce moment est financier, mais je dois dire ma gratitude. J'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai de l'électricité, puis bien sûr, je dois passer aussi au travers de l'Hydro-Québec sur la route, aux camionneurs, aux boulangers, ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies. Parce qu'en tant qu'analyste et philosophe de la géopolitique indépendante, tout ce travail qui se fait en ce moment dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, au Québec, au Canada, aux États-Unis, je dois le mettre dans mes méditations, puis mes philosophies, puis mes analyses de la géopolitique. Tu sais? Parce qu'on doit quand même savoir un esprit, faire des analyses de l'état d'esprit des travailleurs, des situations financières, publiques, privées. La géopolitique, ça englobe le micro, l'individu, puis le collectif. Puis bien sûr, principalement, en tant que Québécois, Canadien, puis avec ça en tête, M. Carney aurait dû y aller, là, aux États-Unis. C'est que principalement, notre intérêt principal, fondamental, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles, économiques, financières, commerciales, militaires, de sécurité avec les États-Unis. Même si moi, bien sûr, depuis 2018, je fais appel à Donald Trump pour me combattre dans un combat de boxe. C'est bien sûr des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. C'est sur moi-même il faut que je fasse. Et c'est ça. Fait que moi-même, je dois le dire pour les analyses et la théorie en géopolitique, c'est que principalement, notre intérêt principal fondamental, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis. La première place là, en géopolitique, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de oui et non, ça c'est un constant, constance. Comme le pi 3.1418. comme 3,1418, là. Tu sais, le chiffre P pour les circonférences, la surface, l'air, c'est des choses, bien sûr, là. Comme la circonférence, le chiffre qui ne change jamais, c'est 3,1416. C'est le symbole, là, le pi, comme un N avec une petite courbe, là, dans les mathématiques, je parle. C'est constamment, ce chiffre-là, il ne change jamais. C'est ça, la géopolitique, pour nous, notre intérêt, principalement, là, que ce soit mon oncle Legault, que ce soit mon oncle Carney, Mike Carney, ou mon oncle François Legault, c'est de dire oui à ça. Qu'est-ce que je veux dire maintenant? Notre intérêt principal là, en géopolitique, les Québécois et Québécoises, les Canadiens, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis, économiques, financiers, culturels, de sport, à tous les niveaux. Après ça, c'est les autres pays, les autres organisations. Principalement en géopolitique, c'est notre intérêt principal, première place. C'est notre histoire commune, du passé puis du futur commun, notre destin commun du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique. Puis donc, bien sûr, aujourd'hui, on est dans cette situation d'avoir des tarifs. On est dans cette situation difficile. Plus que 80% de nos exportations s'en vont aux États-Unis. Il faut être réaliste, là. Notre intérêt primordial, principal, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Même maintenant, j'entends peut-être c'est le service de sécurité, la police. Ben, c'est 911. C'est dans les 50 États. Partout aux États-Unis, c'est les 3 chiffres, 911. Puis au Canada aussi, dans les 10 provinces. Puis 3 États, et regardez comment sont belles les fleurs. Faut pas les toucher, par exemple, mais il y a des fleurs blanches, là. C'est comme ceux-là partout, ouais. Et on va voir ça, hein. Et ils sont partout. Il y a comme un champ, là, de fleurs blanches. Et c'est quelque chose. Je vais sentir un peu, voir s'ils sentent, là. C'est comme ça a l'air, mais... Mettre à genoux un peu. Ouais, c'est un peu de senteur, pas trop, là, mais... En tout cas, c'est des... Wow, c'est un champ de fleurs, là. C'est un champ de fleurs. C'est un champ de fleurs, tu sais. Ouais, juste une personne que j'ai acheté très des fleurs, là, mais... J'ai proposé mariage, je vais proposer encore, parce que fais partie de la communauté, pas juste des neurodivergents, mais je suis androgène, monsieur, madame, 50-50, et pansexuel, donc c'est... je vis avec ça, hein, je vis 24/24, de retour à la géopolitique. Notre intérêt principal, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution, là. Il n'y a pas de négociation à cette vérité, là. C'est oui. Vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez. Vous pouvez dire peut-être non, c'est oui. Dans la géopolitique, c'est mon royaume, c'est mon domaine. Vous avez tellement d'autres connaissances, d'autres sagesses. C'est mon intérêt spécial. C'est aussi connu comme intérêt obsessif. Nous, les Aspergers, je fais partie de cette petite communauté de moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. 0,44%. Il n'y a pas beaucoup d'autistes hautement fonctionnels, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'Aspergers. Nous, on a des intérêts spéciaux. Fait que ces intérêts, depuis bien des années, là, à chaque jour, je fais des heures d'analyse, de théorie, de révision, des principes, des philosophies, des idéologies, des civilisations, des leaders, des chefs du passé, du présent. Mais c'est plus ma spécialité, la géopolitique, c'est le 20e puis le 21e siècle, puis le présent, parce que j'en fais au quotidien. Mais, tu sais, l'histoire ancienne un peu, mais ça a de la valeur un peu, mais c'est plus le 20e siècle à présent, que la guerre froide surtout, ma spécialité de la guerre froide. Si j'en commence à parler, mais ça serait juste ça le sujet. Mais pour dire qu'aujourd'hui, le 6 mai, M. Carney, avec ça, il aurait dû aller en tête. Principalement, il n'y a pas de négociation là-dessus. C'est nous, en tant que Québécois, Canadiens, Québécois, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles. Militaires, économiques, sociales, financières, culturelles, de sport, de défense, avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de oui, il n'y a pas de non, il n'y a pas de peut-être. C'est oui, c'est ça. La première place de la géopolitique, de notre, mettons, politique externe. C'est ça, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles à tous les niveaux avec les États-Unis. Premièrement et avant tout, c'est pas le roi Charles. C'est des illusions, ça. C'est une illusion, c'est une illusion. Le roi Charles, mais vous prêtez allégeance au roi Charles, c'est les pompiers, les boulangers, les infirmières, les travailleurs d'Hydro-Québec, ceux qui changent les aqueducs, les travailleurs en construction, tu sais. Les autres, c'est illusoire, ça. C'est une illusion. Le roi Charles ne viendra pas nous défendre s'il y a une invasion externe là, de l'Atlantique ou le Pacifique. C'est illusion. C'est nous et les États-Unis. Hein. C'est ça qu'il faut qu'on s'unisse dans mon royaume, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. Quand je dis prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille, puis juste des amis avec bénéfice, c'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est ça. Ma TRD, je vous l'explique parce que c'est la solution, puis c'est ça que j'aurais aimé être sur la table avec Carney et Trump pour leur parler de la théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis d'autres théories de défense. Sur la théorie de la théorie théorie de défense TDM totale, théorie de défense mobile totale, TDMT, puis quand on rajoute un cinquième acronyme ou 4, système, quand on met en action la théorie de... Je ne veux pas en parler trop parce que c'est relatif à la sécurité nationale. Puis j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. Je retourne à ça, là, parce que je prends beaucoup de fierté de mes analyses et théories en géopolitique. Je prends beaucoup de fierté de mes analyses en géopolitique, bien sûr. Fait que, bien sûr, je dois dire qu'en 2019, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se retourne maintenant, qui se passe maintenant dans le monde. J'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se passe maintenant dans le monde. Je l'ai prévu en 2019, ça fait quand même un bout, là. Ça fait plus que 5 ans que j'ai survécu la COVID. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. La mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. Là. Je pensais que j'allais mourir de la COVID. Je pensais que j'allais mourir de la COVID, bien sûr. C'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que moi je fasse. Bien sûr, dans cette conflagration internationale qui vient de se passer peut-être avec l'Inde puis le Pakistan. On est déjà dans le mode, c'est déjà comment que je l'ai prévu. Pas à chaque détail, mais d'une manière générale. C'est ça qui se passe dans le monde maintenant. Comme ma prédiction de 2019, j'ai la preuve, hein, parce que j'ai la vidéo en ligne. J'ai des vidéos en ligne de ça. Bon. La TRD maintenant, je vous l'explique, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, la théorie de la refusion de la dette pour la création de l'unité d'échange universelle. De l'unité d'échange universelle. Pour la TRD, je vous l'explique. La seule solution ou quelque chose qui ressemble, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Pourquoi je me prononce ainsi? Et vu à cause, bien sûr, que l'année passée, en 2020, en 2020-2021, on a payé 46,5 milliards sur la dette. Milliards, là. 1 milliard, ça n'a pas 8 ou 7 zéros, c'est 9 zéros. C'est un montant énorme qu'on a payé juste d'intérêt sur la dette publique. Imaginez-vous qu'en 2020-2021, le montant, c'était 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards fois 2, là, c'est 40,6. C'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, moi-même, la COVID, j'ai survécu. Je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre en février 2020. Je pensais que j'allais mourir. J'ai survécu, je me suis fait 3 vaccins. Je me suis donné 3 coups de vaccin, 3 vaccins, puis après ça, je garde les protocoles d'hygiène publique. Parce que le lavage des mains, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Et bien sûr, par cette théorie, bien sûr, je dois dire, bien sûr, qu'aujourd'hui, le 6 mai, on doit faire l'implémentation parce qu'on est à la veille d'avoir une crise financière. On est à la veille d'avoir une crise financière. Une crise financière, bien sûr. Pour le faire, bien sûr, de cette crise financière, bien sûr qu'on est rendu à avoir une crise des finances. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement des finances. Un effondrement des finances, là. C'est possible, hein? Parce que, bien sûr, le montant qu'on a payé en 2020-2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards. 20,3 fois 2, ça aurait été 40,6. 40,6. Et bien sûr, c'était rendu 46,5 l'année passée. 46,5 l'année passée. C'est un montant énorme, bien sûr, qu'on avait fait, bien sûr. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut l'avoir faire. Puis il faut le dire, bien sûr, encore d'autres fleurs blanches, comme celle-là, là. toute une beauté, ça met le grand sourire sur la face, sur le visage. Ben, je suis jovial, je suis joyeux, je suis content. C'est juste un stress financier là, énorme. Je vis un stress financier énorme. Je suis un stress financier, là, mais that's all. Mais paradoxe, là, pour la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il n'y a pas d'autre solution là, que ça. Fait qu'il faut que je vous l'explique maintenant. On est à la veille d'avoir un effondrement des finances publiques. Vous imaginez-vous hein, qu'on est à la veille d'avoir un effondrement à cause que l'intérêt sur la dette publique a plus que doublé. C'est plus que double que c'était il y a 3 ans. C'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, la coronavirus, que bien sûr, on a dû implémenter les programmes pour le soutien de la population dans cette situation de crise, bien sûr, que moi-même, je l'ai vécu. Je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir. C'était vraiment comme la mort, la pestilence, puis la maladie. Là. C'était comme grave. Là. Je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre quand je l'ai eu. J'avais des symptômes. Je dis que c'est ça. Puis il fallait appeler aux urgences. Puis là, j'ai eu des choses comme ça. Mais j'ai survécu. Là. J'ai survécu. Mais bon. Mais moi, c'était tout au début, là, en février 2020, juste avant qu'ils déclarent la pandémie officielle. Bon, ben, c'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, les programmes qui ont été implémentés, ça a fait que l'intérêt sur la dette, ça a plus que doublé de 20,3 milliards en 2020-2021 à 46,5 milliards. Fait que 1 milliard, ça plus, c'est pas 7, c'est pas 8, c'est 9 zéros. C'est 1000 millions, OK? Fait que là, notre économie n'a pas doublé, là. Ça a augmenté de 1 ou 2 %. C'est pour ça que je dis, on est arrivé peut-être aujourd'hui, un effondrement commence demain, dans les prochains jours, semaines, mois à venir. C'est urgent, on est dans une situation de crise. C'est urgent, là. Vous comprenez? Vous comprenez? Juste mathématiquement, le principe en tant qu'individu, citoyen, citoyenne, là, un citoyen, citoyenne, mettons qu'en 2020, ça paye 156 $ d'intérêt. Moi, j'ai pas de carte de crédit, j'ai une ligne de crédit, j'ai 10 000 $ de dette. L'intérêt que je paye, c'est 10,44 % parce qu'il y a eu 3 baisses l'année passée. Bon. Fait que si le citoyen, citoyenne, l'intérêt, ça saute de 156, double, c'est 312, mais ça a plus que doublé. Fait que ça serait plus comme 333, de 156 à 333, sans que le salaire double. Il n'y a pas bien des salaires là, qui ont doublé. L'augmentation moyenne, c'est 4,4 %, des fois 5, 15, 10. Ben, quand même, il faut qu'on coupe dans le budget. Qu'est-ce que le citoyen va couper? Ben, peut-être arrêter de fumer la cigarette, le Netflix, le Disney, des choses comme ça. Arrêter de manger dehors, arrêter de commander de la nourriture, le restaurant, le vin, quelque chose à boire, le cannabis, hein, des choses comme ça. Fait que c'est le même principe dans... Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper, M. Carney, dans le budget? C'est ça que je demande. La sanitation, ceux qui ramassent les poubelles, le compostage, les travailleurs publics, dans l'hôpital, dans la santé publique, la police, la GRC, la gendarmerie royale, les prisons, là. Hey, c'est ça, là. Vous imaginez, là, on est sur le point d'avoir un effondrement des finances publiques, hein. C'est ça le problème. That's it. Fait que je vous l'explique, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Bien sûr, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée et bien sûr, on va faire la refusion. Fait que toute cette dette-là, on va prendre ensemble. Bon, on n'a pas le choix. Fait que dans ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration citoyenne. Fait que dans ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration citoyenne. Correction, la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Fait que bien sûr, la théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est bien sûr qu'est-ce que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 90. Ils ont pris toutes leurs anciennes banques centrales, l'Allemagne, la France, l'Italie. Ils ont pris leurs banques, ils ont détruit leur banque centrale, puis ils ont fait la création de la Banque centrale de l'Europe, la N.A.C.W.P, Banque centrale de l'Europe. Fait que ma théorie, ça contient dans la TRD, dans ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, est intégrée la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont mis en fonction. Ils ont fait de l'implémentation, bien sûr. Ils ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 90. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, votre 10 000, toute la dette, mon 10 000, j'ai 10 000 $ de dette, ma dette, ta dette, de côte à côte. Cette dette-là, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Il faut que ça soit binational. Ça, c'est l'épervier en haut, ça. Il faut que ça soit binational. Fait qu'on va mettre ensemble, faire l'addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis ensemble. Tout cet argent-là, ça va fonder l'argent initial pour une nouvelle banque centrale de l'Amérique du Nord. On va mettre en circulation, on mettra en circulation l'UI, U point unité, E point échange ou point universel. U point unité, E point échange ou point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. U point unité, point échange universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. On va mettre tout ça ensemble. On va faire la création de l'UI. On ne s'obstinera pas parce qu'en anglais, c'est la même chose. La même prononciation. L'UI, U point, E point, U point. Unité d'échange universelle. C'est ça l'argent. C'est une unité d'échange universelle, l'argent. Puis avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain, du Québec, du Canada, des États-Unis. On va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, financer les gens à faire de l'exercice au tourisme parce que ça fait du bien. On va financer le sport, on va bâtir sur la frontière canado-états-unienne un grand colisée. Le plus grand colisée sportif, aréna sportif du monde, 11 fois plus que le Caesars Superdome, le Caesars Superdome, que le Caesars Superdome à Louisiane, en Nouvelle-Orleans, à Louisiane, en Nouvelle-Orleans, à Louisiane, et bien sûr, dans ce conflit-là, on va faire bien sûr pour la Louisiane. Ou que le Harbor Ball et que Black Harbor a été joué. Et bien sûr aussi, on va faire que ça soit dans là, puis dans le. Puis bien sûr, on va bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée. On va faire la création de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé. L'armée du dragon soit la Légion de défense et de sécurité et de service du collectif nord-américain. Ou soit l'armée du peuple impérial, l'Amérique du Nord, soit les légions, qui vont fonctionner seulement par le principe de la SSD, Sécurité, Service, Défense, SSD, Sécurité, Service, Défense, Service des Défenses. Ça, c'est basé sur mes philosophies pour les nouveaux protocoles de 911, pour la SSD du Dragon, l'armée du Dragon, Protège Légion, vous êtes famille, et pour l'armée de la déesse qui danse. L'armée de la déesse qui danse, la ligue de danse Integree Citoyen du collectif nord-américain pour le nettoyage environnemental, pour le nettoyage des montagnes, nettoyage des vallées, des montagnes, l'éducation, constamment dans les universités, les écoles, l'éducation, recyclage, l'éducation du recyclage, puis la danse, pour danser pour le bien-être, pour le social, puis pour le bien-être, puis pour le sport, puis pour les choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ce monde, puis dans cet environnement qu'on est rendu ici pour faire, bien sûr, qu'on est rendu dans le monde d'aujourd'hui, le 6 mai. Si vous pouvez donner à la charité, millionnaire, milliardaire, donnez à la charité, s'il vous plaît, prêtez allégeance, Légion. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la seule et unique solution. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez, mais où qu'on est rendu maintenant, là, avec les finances publiques qu'on est rendu maintenant, c'est la seule et unique solution. On est en veille d'avoir un effondrement des finances publiques. Fait que c'est ça qu'il faut faire. Donc, il n'y a pas d'autre choix. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, on va faire la création de l'unité d'échange universelle, la création de l'unité d'échange universel, et on va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, on va financer les gens au bénévolat, reconstruire le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, bien sûr les aqueducs, l'infrastructure, que c'est un privilège de la civilisation, hein, tout ce qu'on a en tant que le thème de l'agriculture, puis le thème de la civilisation, puis le thème des autoroutes. Fait qu'on va faire cette grosse intégration, bien sûr. Cette grosse intégration, bien sûr, pour qu'on soit de la grosse manifestation, le royaume et de la déesse qui danse. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on regarde, puis il faut qu'on y aille dans ce monde ici qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, pour le faire aujourd'hui et pour demain, le temple de la déesse oubliée, puis la pyramide du dragon écarlate rouge, pour la bâtir, bien sûr, de côte à côte ici, puis de côte à côte, d'océan à océan. On va faire un grand recensement, faire un passeport commun, puis je vois qu'il y a eu une nouvelle roche, que quelqu'un a amené une nouvelle roche, là. Ça est bien, ça commence ici pour bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée face à face vis-à-vis la pyramide écarlate rouge, la maison du dragon, que je pourrais avoir les enterré un tiers de moi ici, un tiers avec Aleister Crowley à Hampton, New Jersey, puis un tiers de moi avec où il y a les pyramides. Fait que c'est tout, prêter allégeance Légion, vous êtes famille. Et c'est ça qu'on va faire. On va faire l'entraînement physique, puis on va chanter les cadences, puis on va faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD. Il faut faire aussitôt, là. C'est urgent, puis c'est ça que Carney doit savoir, que principalement notre intérêt fondamental, principalement, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis en termes de géopolitique, puis c'est urgent, ça presse, il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis faire pour la défense de côte à côte, l'implémentation, puis l'opération Scorpion du Nord, bâtir les 44, le chiffre après 43 avant 45, c'est 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Bâtir la pyramide rouge, écarlate rouge ici. Personne n'est né un dragon, même moi non plus. Puis par des larmes, des pompes, de l'entraînement physique que j'ai commencé après avoir traversé le Canada en 2017 quand j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec. C'est de ma famille québécoise, les Canadiens aussi, les États-Unis, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, bien sûr, d'à travers le monde, ici dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord pour en faire bien sûr du travail, puis de la pyramide, puis bien sûr le soleil ici pour le faire, puis pour quelqu'un qui fait l'amour, bien sûr. Ça me donne toujours de l'espoir, tu sais, voir du monde qui font un peu d'amour. Et voilà. That's all with that, and I'll get on a little bit of that rock and roll, and get ready for the cadence. Get ready for the cadence. Property of the Dragon Army. Get ready for the cadence. Get ready for the cadence. Get ready for the Dragon Army. Dragon Army cadence, property of the Dragon Army. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself. Blood, sweat, and tears to turn that A into a no. Let's go. Build the pyramid here. House of the Dragon pyramid. Scarlet, crimson, scarlet, and do a little push-ups, do a little squats. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take some rocks there and do a little bit of working out with some rocks. Let's find some rocks. And cadence for the farmers, for the butchers and the bakers, for the train conductors. Gotta do up into you, and I got the backpack, and now we're gonna inspect, see what's in the backpack. Let's do that inspection. Dragon Army, keep the cadence. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Marching for the farmers, the butchers and the bakers. Electricians and the plumbers, electricians and the plumbers. Doesn't mean that if you shave your head, you're entitled to fight for that freedom. That's what I said. Doesn't mean that if you shave your head, that you're entitled to fight for freedom. That's what I said. Doesn't mean that if you shave your head, you're entitled to fight for freedom. That's what I said. Let's see, we got quash. I got it on special. Gotta drink and gotta eat. Gotta kiss and gotta hug. Got a left and got a right. Got some boxing, got some dancing. Got some boxing, got some dancing. Got some loving, got some kissing. Got some black and quash. Got some quash, one bottle, 2.5 liters, eh? Got some quash. Got some quash. Gotta get it for you, see. Gotta get it for you, be. Imported by Wonderberry, North America. Imported by Wonderberry, North America. Give them a call to support the Dragon Army with quash. Got some chocolate, 50 cents. 50 cents, this is gonna be for my treat. After I get back to my headquarters, 50 cents each. Got some shaving cream, and got a little bit of that for the shaving. Rainbow Dragoness Priestess Hana. Rainbow Dragon, General Cuckold is Priestess Hanah. Priestess of the Goddess. Gotta go and round about it. Gotta sing it, don't you miss it. Gotta twist my arms and kiss it. One for the rainbow, one for the black. One for the white and one for the red. Sun is shining, that's what I said. Let's go, give me some push-ups. Let's go, give me some push-ups. Fitness journey starts today. Got a looking pile of haze. Gotta see on the doers. Train conductors, electricians. Bakers and the plumbers. Nurses and the doctors. Somebody kiss a firefighter. 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 Kiss a firefighter on the go. Farmers, butchers, truckers, and let it go. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. For the SSD. Dragon Army for the Dragon Army. For the bakers and the plumbers. Electricians, train conductors. Somebody get it for, sing it for the public workers. The train conductors, those in the fast food, flipping burgers. 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 Gotta see, gotta be, gotta you and gotta me. Gotta be, gotta see, gotta you and gotta me. For the left and right, gotta be in harmony. For the left and for the right, gotta be and gotta see. Gotta be and gotta see. On the backpack, you know that I be more than 44, more than 44 pounds now. That's for sure. Let's go, give me some of that workout. Train the biceps. Train the biceps. Up and loud. Train those biceps up and loud. Don't make me another sound. Train the biceps, got it loud. Give me another sound. Train the biceps with some rocks. Some of us be hawks. Oh. Got it ready for the storm. Gotta let that hair down forlorn. Hair long or shaved in it. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. You gotta see it on the hawks. Let's go, put your hands and flock. Flip those wings just like a bird. Hawk or crow ready to squirm. Let's go, like a train conductor. Choo-choo for those truckers and those daycare workers changing diapers. You know that's the smelly. And we gotta see what you put in the belly. Gotta live in harmony for the rocks ready to see. Gotta go left or right for some pounds out of sight, for some pounds out of lights. Satellites up in the sky. This is a bit on the heavy. Pass it down so that you can see. On the work so that you be. On the left and on the right. You know, biceps, that's alright. For the go and for the do. For the left and for the right. Sing it for the plumbers. Electricians, train conductors. For the carpenters and the butchers. Gotta get it for the nurses. Firefighters left and right. You know that we out of sight. Gotta give it so you be. Gotta give it so you see. Gotta give it so you need. On the knees and on steel toes. Public workers on the go. Woo. Exercising on the road. You know that's the sing and told. Frame and kissing, that's the rainbow. Rock and roll so that you know. For the firefighters, butchers, train conductors. Got a plumbers, electricians. Rainbow Dragon General Cuckold. General Cuckold, aka Clit Dick Dick Clit. 50-50. You know that I be. Priestess, Dodo, da Papa Crowley, Scorpio. Dancing is my favorite sport. Let's go, Dragon Army. Give me some push-ups. Give me some loving and some hugs. Gotta get up in the D. Gotta get up in the B. Gotta dance in harmony. So you know I'll be the C. Gotta swing the melody. Gotta be up in the C. Gotta be up in the B. So you know we gotta see. Gotta be up in the doers and the butchers, electricians, plumbers and the firefighters. You know that I gotta be on the loving that you see. For the left or right and see. So you left or right and be. Plumbers, electricians, bakers, butchers, nurses, doctors. Let me see you gotta be for the train conductor see. Where the storms, where's there's bees, there's honey. Rainbow soared up in the bee, rainbow soared up in the sea. Let's go, millions of truckers. Bakers, butchers, and the nurses, plumbers, electricians, firefighters. Gotta give some rock and roll, gotta give some on the road, gotta give some ready to roll. For the bakers and the butchers, for the truckers, firefighters, train conductors, dragging on me, let's go. You know that I play a rainbow for the hugs, I get it go. For the firefighters, nurses, and the doctors, train conductors gotta sing, train conductors gotta bring her. And you know I gotta be plenty of scars on my body. I'm the privates, I'm the private, I'm the private, I'm the general. Rainbow dragon, yes sir. I'm a man and I'm a woman. I'm a priestess and a goddess. Rainbow dragon better kiss it. I say priestess, not a hoe. Get it together, rock and roll. Get dead, dirty up in those assholes. On steel toes. Construction workers, I'm freestyling. You know, on the world. Get it to carry on the go. Don't waste your time. Start hugging. Start meaning some of that loving. Give some charity, Wall Street. 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 NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB. Give. Reduce the tickets by 44.9%, please. NFL, NHL, MLB, and NBA. Reduce the tickets by 44.9%, please. NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB. Reduce the tickets by 44.9%. Gotta give it 1%. Gotta give it for the body. Gotta give it for your seeing the sun shining. And one last training with another rock. And then we up on top. Whoop. Heavy for the rocks. Firefighters and the trucks. Somebody gotta sing for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes that me and you. And for my brothers and sisters who take their second chances and do their criminal rehabilitation. Firefighters, truckers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and the grocery store clerks, warehouse workers. On steel toes, big in the homes, construction workers, nurses, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, and the welders welding up with aluminum and the steel. For the welders, that's what's up. Those flipping some burgers, cheeseburgers on the fast food, cheeseburgers and the burgers, producing and delivering some of that food for the workers, that collective, for the workers be so hectic, for the workers be eclectic, for the Dragon Army blessings, for the Dragon Army blessings. I still those you know the lessons, so you know ready to be, so you know ready to see, on the up and down. That's another 8 for harmony, for you know up in the squeeze, for you know up in the leash. Unleash the beast, I got a road up in the 9, for an up in the night, firefighters, truckers, electricians, train conductors, those on the cranes, building up skyscrapers, on the lanes, building up skyscrapers. Let's go, satellites up in the sky, saddle up until it die. Aviation, that's the plane, aviation, that's the same. Microchips up in the lane, 3G, 4G, 5G. We gotta get North American Collective for the Dragon Army. 3G, 4G, 5G. We gotta get North American Collective for the Dragon Army. Oh, you know we gotta be. So you know you gotta see. On the left or right. Where? Yeah. Left or right. Now it's time to finish, because from here to my place with this backpack is still a way to go. So I still got some mileage, lots of hours from here to my place. So we're just gonna go here from the top, headquarters of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, and make sure we got that good backpack on it, and make sure we got it on it good, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get starting on the go, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So it's a Oh yeah, this feels good. That was a workout. A great workout. let's continue the cadence. Continue the cadence with that, and that's what we're gonna be doing here, the cadence, and that's what we're gonna be having, and here we gotta go rock and roll, man. Let's get ready, more cadence, you know, till the end. Get ready for the cadence. Cadence, Dragon Army, property of the Dragon Army. Created by Rainbow Dragon, Adrian Hana Dragon. Keep my name out of the mouth if it's not for blessings. Otherwise there'll be pestilence. Pledge your allegiance, legions to our family. And we gotta go from the wilderness to the cities and big cities, the metropolis. Metropolis is the black and white and rainbow. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white, some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are homos. None of my dragons are born a dragon. None of my dragons are born a dragon. Who we marching east and west, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. For the plumbers, electricians. For the train conductors. Gotta be ready to do. Gotta be ready to see. Gotta be ready to be. Gotta see and gotta do. Gotta be and gotta be. Gotta see and gotta be. For the plumbers, electricians, and the nurses. Nurses and the doctors. Firefighters, got some lovers. Gotta be, gotta see. For the black and white and rainbow. For the black and white and rainbow. For the left and the right. Gotta go coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Plumbers, electricians, and the welders. Dragon Army, who am I? When I answer Dragon Army, who am I? Say, greatest cuckold in the universe. When I answer, who am I? Say, greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I? Greatest cuckold in the universe. Who am I? You say, greatest cuckold in the universe. Got a left and got a right. Gotta be with some hugging and some kissing. Gotta see and gotta miss him. Gotta see and gotta be. For the left and right and see. For the plumbers and the butchers. Train conductors, electricians. Firefighters on the go. Gotta give it so you see. Electricians and the plumbers. Farmers and the butchers. Train conductors and the ghosts. Gotta ready rock and roll. Ready on the go. Butchers and the bakers, electricians and the nurses, firefighters and those plumbers, train conductors gotta hum it. Train conductors gotta hum it. Gotta come from the wilderness. And you know, flora, fauna gotta rest. Gotta get some water drinking. Gotta get hydration thinking. Firefighters, plumbers, butchers. Gotta give it for the doers. Gotta get the sun shining. On the mountain, that's the diamond. Gotta get it for the do. Gotta get it for the plumbers. Gotta get it for the doers. Gotta get it for the plumbers, thinkers, and philosophers. They gotta say ready to do. Truckers, border, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. 4063, 4063, 4063 they do. 4063 we see. 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, do the math. Do the math. Gotta rock. Gotta roll on the road. So you see, yes, let's go. 40 aqueducts and plums. Gotta give it for you know. Gotta see, and that's for sure. Coming to the mountain. Singing on about it. Sing it around about it. Sing it for the floors, for the upwards, for the skyscrapers. Where the planes up in the sky. Aviation! How many planes in the sky now, I wonder. And then we have to locate, right? Because if we say how many planes in the sky, then where? Montreal, Quebec, Canada, United States. United States, Montreal, Canada. Go aviation, go. Respect for the, mad respect for the plane, you know, the aviators, the aviators, you know. Those who fly those planes, don't get too close to my kingdom of the sun though, but those who fly the planes, you know. They're aviators, those are rock and roll with that, so something which I also gotta admire. So I'm gonna hydrate and head back to my headquarters because I'm getting on the HUNGRY. I'm getting on the hungry side. I'm getting a little bit hungry, you know. So we gotta get going with that. And besides, I've been a few hours, and I don't want to do more than six today. Yesterday did a little bit more than 6. So here we are again at the Dancing Goddess of the Dragon Kingdom's headquarters. So we're gonna go rock it. Tuesday, May 6th, Connie meeting, the United States President today is in Washington, USA. So I'm gonna have to be geopolitical analysis when I get back home on that. I mean, doing my own geopolitical theorizing and analysis when I get back home. So here we are. Thank you, public workers who built this. Wow, imagine all the work underneath. For us to have this water and the electricity go Hydro-Quebec. We're in this water, to the mountain, on top of the mountain, clean potable water. Quite a feat of engineering and brains and muscle. That's something which has required, you know. It's to be appreciated. Salutations, man. Oh yeah. On the steps, the backpack heavy. So with the backpack on the back, plus the jacket is in, it's gonna add a little bit of extra weight, you know. So a little bit of that extra weight on the back, sometimes, which of course we gotta be doing, you know, and we gotta be formulating on the go, you know. So something which we gotta be now, today. So I got carpe diem every day since died COVID. Let's go. Dragonomic cadence, got an echo for the lovers, for the youth and for the lovers. Got an echo as they miss us. Got the train conductors, got the electricians and the plumbers. Got a ghost ready to do, got a ghost ready to see. Gotta live in harmony. Let's go for the steps. On the go. Gotta need a little flag. A little bit of flagging. A little bit of flag. For the dancing goddess, yeah. For the USA. For the USA. And the Dragon Army. For the USA, for the Canada, we play. Let's go, gotta be. There's gonna be some nice tulips coming out here. Thank you, public workers. This usually gonna come out maybe tulips. Oh yes, and that was really nice. I can't wait. Oh, there's yellow in the corner, but this one's gonna be so nice. So I gotta go with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the love, man. You know, so that's what we gotta get doing. You know. Gotta get doing with that, with the love, and they're happy, joyous, you know. That's what matters with that, and that's the most important thing, man. A bit of joy here, and then we get it on the cadence. See, that's my favorite skyscraper there. I remember when it was built, who built it, and you can see mountains. That's St. Bruno, Saint Hilaire. So you see the mountain range, and then you can see the mountain range, and then you can see also the rivers. So that's it for today. Gonna go doing it, and in the sun, there's the hawk. Hawk. H-A-W-K, you know. That's how we do it. That's a hawk in the sky, see? Boop, boop, boop. Hawk is gonna go hawk. Let's see, hawk headed. That's what we're gonna get doing with that, and so we're gonna be meditating on the go, and so we're gonna get on the X, Y, Z, you know. Hawk. There we go. Gonna do my sun meditation, sun salutations, and gotta get it on the go, and gotta get it on the love, and gotta get it for now, you know, to get it on the do, and they're doing a little bit of XYZ, doing a little bit of love in there, couples, hugging a little bit of that, and that's how we're gonna go towards the sun. Back to my headquarters. I'll go a little bit of something there, and they're hugging, kissing. That makes me hope, you know, gives me some hope. Somebody making love in the free world, man. Now about Wall Street, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and so we gotta get loving, man. You know, for the lovers also, Dragon Army gotta march, eh? Not all about Wall Street. We can be bought. We can be bribed. Dragon Army on the site. Yeah. We can be bought. We can be bought. We can be bought. We can be bought. We can be bribed. For the other side here. We can be bought, we can be bribed. Dragon Army on the site. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. We're the Dragon Army on the site. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. Yeah. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, Dragon Army on the site. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, Dragon Army on the site. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. Dragon Army on the site. Gotta give it for the lights. Gotta give it for the sight. Gotta give it for the light. We cannot be bought. We cannot be bribed. Dragon Army on the site. We cannot be bought. We cannot be bought. We cannot be bribed.
Ça va?
Ah, financièrement, non.
Comment ça, financièrement? Non.
Financièrement, stressé.
Relax, sur les montagnes, là. Dans des photos, mettre des vlogs, puis... Non?
Comme je t'ai dit, financièrement, ça va pas.
Désolé. Un jour, ça va
Ben,
bien.
c'est pas ta faute. Pourquoi tu dis que c'est désolé, c'est pas ta faute?
Désolé que ça aille pas pour toi.
Ben, t'es désolé, mais ça...
Ah, puis là, tu sais que je peux rien faire.
C'est ça. Bon, tu me dois rien, je te dois rien.
OK.
Ciao, ciao. Anyways, that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's it with that. And I asked how I was. I said financially stressed, and said, I'm sorry. I said, don't be sorry. It's not your fault that I'm financially stressed, you know. And that's it with that. And that's what we gotta be doing, you know. And that's what we gotta get doing on that. And said, well, we owe each other nothing. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault that I'm financially stressed. And that's what we gotta be doing with that, you know. So something which we gotta be, man, you know. But see, this is an N.A.C.W.P thing, you know. The N.A.C.W.P thing is when somebody asks how are you, you know, we say how we really feel. Said, I'm financially stressed, but I'm joyous, you know. But and then in French he said, well, I'm sorry, désolé, I'm sorry, but N.A.C.P thing is, why are you sorry? Because it's not your fault, so you shouldn't apologize, you know, because you're not the cause of my financial stress, unless maybe somehow, you know, I lost my jobs, you gossip or whatever years ago, maybe you were, but you know, whatever. So that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta go. So sometimes that's the thing with N.A.C.W.P. Sometimes, you know, we just say, if we don't feel good, we don't feel okay, we're just, you know, the social things, the you know, protocols. You're supposed to say I'm good, you know. You're supposed to say I'm good, I'm okay. But that's not Asperger's, where our brains are different. And so I say how I really am. I'm financially stressed, and you know, if you are in a position, you know, to offer me some business, because I'm not looking for charity or pity. I'm not looking for charity or pity. Although I gotta thank the fellow N.A.C.W.P for the $25.44, for the $25.44, for the $25.44 donated a few months ago, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So something which we gotta be on the side, you know, of things. It's a fellow citizen which we got acquainted a few years ago, and whatever the case, but that's what it is with that. So anyways, marching, money regardless, paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food at home, and you know, that's the thing with N.A.C.P.s, you know, we're different. And if I don't feel good, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say what would make me feel good, better. I'm willing to do business and work, you know. So I did work, have a lot of employments, but unfortunately in my community, Asperger's is a lot of obstacles, still discrimination, like my fellow citizen said earlier today, an illness. And again, make the mistake to say call it an illness. It's not an illness. There's a mutation in the brain, and so we are on the left and on the right, and that's how it is, man, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the stepping, you know. So that's how it is, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. That's how we gotta get. It's the farmers, the butchers, the plumbers, and the electricians. The plumbers, the butchers, the bakers, the electricians. The plumbers, the butchers, the bakers, electricians. The plumbers, the butchers, the bakers, electricians. So don't say sorry, it's not your fault, you know. Often it happens in the past year or so. Say somebody says, oh, I'm sorry, but you're not, don't be sorry, it's not your fault. So that's an N.A.C.P thing, you know. Like, you don't need to apologize for that, because it's not your fault. Just like, you know, when you don't know what Asperger's is, you want to learn more about it, just ask an N.A.C.P, and he's going to tell you the obstacles, the difficulties, and how he lives daily life with building bridges or not building bridges, with fellow neurotypicals, which are the 99.56%, compared to my community, which is 0.44%. Less than 1%, or less than 0.5%, less than 0.44%. So that's what it is. And grateful, and if we would have offered something to remedy my financial stress, like writing some rock and roll songs, dancing, or whatever else, writing some songs or entertaining with my clumsy aspy ways, then I would have said thank you, I appreciate the offer, and such a better to just, that's an aspy thing again, eh? We are not necessarily going to console like my fellow citizen just did, to say we're sorry for you, but if we are in the position, we're going to show compassion and empathy by action. And that's where the misunderstanding lies, because a lot of people say Asperger's are not compassionate or empathy. It's not that we don't have compassion or empathy. We really do, but we show it by action. So if I would have been a millionaire or a billionaire today, a billionaire or a millionaire, I meet somebody who is financially stressed and tells me I'm broke, so I'm willing to do some work, I can hire you, I can offer you this opportunity, because capital needs to be make people to do, right? Capital. That's why the DRT best. So if I would be a billionaire, I wouldn't say I'm sorry to hear that. I would just say, listen, you want to make $500? You want to make $1,000 honest bucks? Hey, 10,000 honest bucks. You have $10,000 in debt. Here it is. 2 weeks, 10,000. You do this work. You do this. You do that. You come. You clean the mountain, clean the lakes, clean la falaise. Clean la falaise with me. Give you 10,000 to do environmental cleaning. But that's again the characteristics of Asperger's. Being an Aspie, we tend to offer things, but because bridging of the bridges, that is just how it is. So we do not, it's hard for us, our brains just are different. And so these things are not often heard. I'm sorry for you, whether I'm financial or I'm moody, or it's not your fault that I'm moody, that I was XYZ, don't apologize unless you create it, or unless you create some harm for me, or I create some harm for you. Just ask. I'll say I'm sorry, I apologize, I know maybe my language might offend, or just say you offended me and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, it was unintentional, and that's it, that's all, unintentional, and rock and roll, and that's just how it is. But it's a typical conversation and possible sometimes misunderstandings between Aspies like myself with Asperger's, who have a mutation in the brain and who we look at the world differently, and we interact differently, with my fellow neurotypical, which he said sorry, but it's not his fault, because of my financial stress. While me as an Aspie, if I would have been in the position, I would have, of course, offered something to remedy the situation. So that is basically where the neurodivergent lies. Me as a neurodivergent Aspie, that's how we show compassion and empathy, by concrete action. So that is basically the Aspies things. So that's the Asperger's. That is basically the Asperger's. That is basically what it is. Basically what it is. That's it. But that's what I've been living and experiencing often. But my fellow citizen think that a few years ago I've discussed about Asperger's, but he wasn't. I'm not sure, I gotta double check. I think we even like 2 years ago I recorded a conversation with the fellow citizen, and no ill will, nothing. It's no resentment at all, nothing like that. It's just furthering bridges, building more bridges and understanding what Asperger's is, because that was very typical of a possibility of a misunderstanding between myself as an Aspie and another citizen who said he's sorry, and my response was direct. That's why you're sorry, it's not your fault. So this is Asperger's, that's just Asperger's, and we Aspies, we're going to offer something instead of verbal consolation. If we are in that position to offer, we're going to offer by compassion, by action. If you're sore, we're going to offer a massage or some food if you're hungry, or money if we're in the position. I'm not, because I'm broke, but financial stress, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, that's it, that's all. But that is just what it is, the marching towards the sun, happy, joyous. And it's constantly, I constantly have to make an effort as a fellow neurodivergent. My brain's different and I'm different, and part of this 0.44% of neurodivergence. And I have my weaknesses, I have my impediments and my struggles and suffering, but rock and roll towards the sun till the end, per the rubber, till the end. Dragons, 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 we cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed, we get naked in the sun. Not in the public, is gotta change some laws. We're nudist. We're gonna Dragon Army, we're gonna have to go to the nudist, get naked. Dragon Army cannot be bought, cannot be paid, cannot be bought, cannot be paid. Dragon Army founded by androgynous, pansexual, Adrian Hanna Dragon, General Cuckold, Rainbow Dragon, Aspie. First army to be founded by an Asperger's. Dragon Army in North America in the New World, so it's a new mutation and a new world. Make LOV. Auctioning the shirt, the pants, $1 million. See if you buy it, then they're gonna give 50% to my anonymous friend, and that's gonna revenue. Then we're off from the mountain and into the sun we go, baby. Let your allegiance. Thou art friend.